We are so glad you're here this morning. I believe I am looking at some of the most intelligent people in all of San Juan County. And the reason I can say that is because this is the finest AI conference in America. Now, you may not believe me, so watch this. Siri, what is regarded as the greatest AI conference in America?
According to research conducted by the Harris Poll, the top-rated conference on AI in 2025 in the United States is the Four Corners Conference for Professional Development in Farmington, New Mexico on February 27, 2025.
Thank you, Siri.
You're welcome, Ron.
All right, give yourselves a hand for being here. We found Sunny? All right. Well, you can keep the bag. Just put the name tag right there and we'll get it back to her. And she is very appreciative. Now we'll all know who she is. A brief history. This is the 35th year for the Four Corners Conference for Professional Development. Way back in 1985, the governor was doing conferences for women around the state. He reached out to Joyce Donald. If you did not know Joyce Donald, you missed out. I just promise you. I'll leave it at that. But Joyce gathered a group of women, about 40 or so, and they put on the Governor's Conference for Women. Did that for 2 years. The governor said, you don't need my help anymore, keep it going. So they said, okay, called it the Four Corners Conference for Women. It was that for several years until the men objected and said, how about us? And so for the bulk of the time, it's been the Four Corners Conference for Professional Development. It rested in peace a few years ago with COVID. It has been resurrected, and I, for one, am so happy it is and so glad you came to the first of what is hopefully going to be another 35 conferences, Four Corners Conferences for Professional Development. I got to recognize just a couple of people. Is Nancy Shepard here? Nancy, where are you? Nancy? Nancy was one of the driving forces behind this conference from the onset. And where's Melanie Lewis? I'm guessing she's probably pretty close to Nancy. She's been the driving force behind Nancy for most of the time. Give her a hand also, if you would, please. Also want to thank our incredible sponsors. You've seen the what do you call those? The tent cards? What do you call those? Poster boards. Check them out. We have some amazing sponsors, and we're so thankful. Two in particular, San Juan College. You'll be hearing from our president here in just a moment. But San Juan College and San Juan County have been just so instrumental in helping this to become a reality. Their commitment to advancing innovation, education, and technology in our community is noteworthy. All right, a couple of housekeeping items. If you've not yet downloaded the app for the Huva, that is new to us, but it's a great resource, the Huva download app, please do that. You'll find the whole schedule there. Please sign on with the email that you used when you originally registered for this course. If you're not able to get onto Hoover for some reason, the agenda is also at our website, fccpd.com, fccpd.com. If you haven't picked up your name tag, or if you picked up somebody else's name tag, make sure you get yours. Hopefully you did, with a lanyard that identifies you as either a speaker in green, a staff member or a helper in orange, and an attendee in blue. So hope you did that. We're here to increase our knowledge of AI. Hello, that's why we're here. Please don't miss out on the networking opportunity that is before you. I doubt anyone in this room knows everyone else in this room. I challenge you, before you leave today, make 5 new acquaintances, 5 new friends, network with at least 5 other people, get out of your comfort zone, and meet some people. I think you'll be glad you did. Oh yeah, if you haven't turned off your cell phone yet, love to tell you I did that on purpose. Put it on silent, please. We appreciate that. Lunch today is going to be at 11:30 or 12:30, and if you look on your name badge, it'll tell you which lunch you're supposed to go to. Please go to that assigned lunch. It helps us to keep the numbers and the sessions running smoothly. If you're not at lunch, you want to be right here, because you're going to learn about resources the San Juan College has to further your education in AI or any professional development. You are also going to learn about an offer that is going to blow you away. I've been asked not to tell too much more about it, but I know about it, and I will put my reputation on offer that you're not going to want to miss out on. So when you're not at lunch, please be right here. And by the way, if you don't remember which workshops you signed up for, go to whichever one, or if another one strikes your fancy and you say, oh, I wish I'd signed up for that one, that's okay. We'll allow you to switch back and forth. So at the end of the day, we're going to ask you to fill out an evaluation. We want to know, what did we do well? What could we have done better? And especially for next year and in the coming years, your feedback is going to help us to have even greater conferences in the coming years. So please do fill out that the post-evaluation. Next year, we hope to bring back scholarships. We didn't have a chance to do that this year, but a key component of previous conferences is that attendees were eligible to apply for a scholarship for whatever purpose they needed. It went before a panel, and if they were selected, we helped lots and lots of people. I don't have the specifics, but lots and lots of scholarship money went out. We hope to resume that next year, so make plans for that if you'd like. Restrooms, just down the hall right here. You probably saw those when you came in. Campus security, they asked us to give out their phone number, 505-566-4444. 505-566-4444. If you need campus security, that's how you would reach them. They asked us, by the way, to park in Lot B, which I'm going to guess is that large parking lot right out front. If you didn't park there during a break, could you go move your car, please, as a courtesy, and put it in that lot? They'd be so grateful. Well, I think I've said enough for a while. It's my honor now to introduce our San Juan College president. Please welcome Dr. Toni Pendergrass.
Good morning. On behalf of San Juan College, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the Four Corners Conference for Professional Development. We're just so thrilled that you are here with us today to explore the transformative potential of artificial intelligence. First of all, I would like to introduce some distinguished guests and elected officials that are here with us this morning. We have Bev Taylor, one of our San Juan College Board of Trustee members. We also have members of Four Corners Innovations, which is the research park at San Juan College. Members of the research park, board members that we have here this morning are J. Paul McWilliams, the CEO of Lagos Energy. We also have Irick Cooper, the president and CEO of Cooper Fire Protection Services. We also have T. Greg Marion from Marion Oil and Gas and managing partner of the Marion Family Foundation. We have Mike Stark, the CEO of the county, our county manager. We have Vince Moffitt, the CEO of Basin Health Companies and also the chairman of Four Corners Economic Development and the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce here in Farmington. We have Krista McWilliams, the Chief Operating Officer of Lagos and the Vice President of the Farmington Municipal School Board. We have Jeremiah Hayes, the Vice President of Janes Corporation and the immediate past President of Four Corners Economic Development, or past Chairman. Warren Unsicker, the Director of Economic Development for the City of Farmington, and Dr. Luis Sofuentes, who is the Vice President of Research, Creativity, and Economic Development for New Mexico State University. He's also active on Four Corners Economic Development. So let's recognize and formally thank all of the volunteers and committee members that helped organize this conference for us today. And I'd like for you to stand and be recognized. The co-chairs were Carol Talby and Brian Myers. So if you could please stand. And let's have the committee members stand. Amy Nunez, some of them are outside, we know, still helping individuals. Ashley Pate, Brianna Nichols, Brigada Pramasari, Cassie Bunny, Dipka Malika Tamsilvayan, Jacinta Escabel, Libby Johnson, Nashota Yazi, Paulette Stanley, Scott Eckstein, Shay Hackus, Sunny Rodriguez, and Yolanda Benally. I was informed late last night that we have, I think it says on our app that there's 262 participants. So with staff, that's over 280 people that are here today. So thank you so much for joining us. I just wanted to share some fun facts about the college for those of you that aren't aware of what we do. So we serve about 8,800 credit students on an annual basis and over 4,000 non-credit or corporate training students annually. So that's about 13,000 students. We have over 140 different certificate and degree programs here at the college. And our board has set 5 strategic directions for our work in our 5-year strategic plan. And I'm just going to talk about the first 2. The first strategic direction really has to do with advancing partnerships. Partnerships with our K-12 school districts, our universities. I know we have some New Mexico State representatives here with us today. And then also, and what's very important, is our partnerships with business and industry. So our second strategic direction, and is really a centerpiece of our work, is making sure all of our students, while they are here at San Juan College, they gain valuable work experiences. So we've been able to secure funding through the state of New Mexico for the remainder of this fiscal year through June and the next 2 years to pay interns and apprentices. And I know many of you, I see a lot of you that have hired a lot of our interns, but we have funding to pay them $15 to $20 an hour for up to 20 hours a week to work in your business. So we'd like to thank all of you who have taken advantage of this opportunity. But if you're interested in hiring an intern, please contact me, anyone here at San Juan College, but our Career Services Department, Jill and Tanda, really help us execute this with our business and industry leaders. Another thing that we wanted to mention to you that's happening in March is March 27th and 28th, we're having a Career Pathways Expo. And this is to really support that college-going mindset here in our community. So what we do is we have students take like a 6-question assessment about what careers they might be interested in, or they can take a 60-question assessment. When I took it, after 6 questions, it said I should be an educational administrator, which really shocked me that after 6 questions it came up with that. So they explore a couple of pathways throughout the day. It's really hands-on. But then we provide a couple of hours during the lunch hour each day where they can visit with all of you as employers. So if you'd like to be part of that, please just let any one of us know and we'll make sure that happens. San Juan College mission is to educate and empower individuals to thrive in an ever-changing environment. It's just one sentence. But that ever-changing environment is really important to all of us today because we know that AI is a real game changer. And we're so excited that you're here today to learn about it. One of our thought leaders and experts at San Juan College in AI is Professor Jonathan Fisher, and he'll be with us at 10 o'clock to talk about and share his wisdom and expertise regarding AI. But we've had a group at the college, a dedicated team that's worked this past year to develop policies and practices around AI. And then around the lunch hour, we have Dr. Lorenzo Reyes, who is our Vice President for Economic, Workforce, and Resource Development. And he's going to really share how this is impacting the workforce. And now we're poised to help you reskill and upskill in this new era of AI. One thing that we'd like to extend is a really warm welcome to our friends in Mexico. So we have 242 people that are joining us they're either from one of the 7 universities in Sonora, Mexico, or we have representatives from the Secretary of Economic Development, the Secretary of Culture and Education, and the Secretary of Economic Development. And they're joining us this morning via Zoom. So we're so grateful for their strategic partnership, and thank you for joining us. And so I just hope today is a truly enriching experience for all of you. Whether you're here to apply AI in your professional or personal life, we want you to know that San Juan College is here for you, for your business, and this wonderful community. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us at any time to see if there's anything we can do for you today to enrich your experience while you're here at the conference, or anything in general. And thank you for joining us, and I look forward to learning alongside all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pendergrass. Where are my notes? They are right here. In the past, we've always had one keynote speaker. We're breaking from that tradition. As you can see, we have 3 panelists with us this morning. Each has a specific role. And when they're done, you're going to have a good foundation of AI that's going to serve you well for the other workshops that you'll be attending during the day. Because we have 3 speakers and a tight schedule, we're not going to have questions and answers during this session. However, each of the presenters is going to be here during the day, and I imagine people are free to come up to you and bug you to death. No. Ask them, please. We have experts among us. Don't leave here without, I don't want to say taking advantage, but yeah, that's why they're here. First up is Dr. Huiping Cao. Dr. Cao is a professor of computer science at New Mexico State University. As with the other 2 keynote speakers, all of the professional details of her background are on the Huva app or at our website. She's going to be providing us with an introduction to artificial intelligence at a relatively elementary level. We should learn about vocabulary that you'll be reading about in the news or dealing with firsthand as artificial intelligence users. Following Dr. Cao is Orion Ohev. Orion is a mentor and course instructor. He'll be providing us with a very rapid tour of a wide range of AI applications and utilities. Don't worry if he moves too fast, quicker than you'd like him to. He will be participating in the hands-on discovery session this afternoon. You're going to see things that you're going to want to know more about, and Orion is the one to ask. And finally, the conference organizers would be remiss if we did not bring to your attention how AI is currently thought about in a company setting. So we have with us this morning as our final keynote, Nadia Powell. She's from El Paso Electric Company. El Paso Electric does some very interesting things with artificial intelligence. And although it's a big company, they, like many of us in smaller companies, are just beginning to discover how the new technology can improve customer service, reduce costs, provide better stewardship of the shareholders' investment. All right, I'm almost done. A couple of more recognitions. Chris Hunter, if Chris Hunter gets onto a project, get out of his way. I'll just tell you that because it's going to happen. Chris, I don't know if you're in the room, but can we give Chris Hunter a hand? He was a driving force behind this. And finally, before turning it over to Dr. Cao, I want to acknowledge the very substantial assistance provided by New Mexico State University in helping us source this panel of keynote speakers. In particular, I want to acknowledge Dr. Luis Cifuentes. He's the Vice President for Research and the Dean of the Graduate School for his substantial investment of time and energy helping to locate the right speakers, coordinating bringing them here to us in Farmington. Dr. Cifuentes and the entire New Mexico State University community are greatly involved in San Juan County. For example, Dr. Cifuentes serves on the board of the Four Corners Economic Development. By a show of hands, I'm just curious, how many of you are NMSU alumni? Ew, look out. All right. Thank you, George. I know our San Juan County Manager, Mike Stark, is an Aggie, so thank you all for being here. You know, you often hear MCs say, without further ado, I have no idea what ado is. I just don't think we need any more of it. So with that, Dr. Cao, if you would please get us started, we look forward to your presentation. Thank you so much. Help me welcome Dr. Huiping Cao.
Can I have the slides? Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm very delighted to have this 30-minute session to share with you about some basic information of artificial intelligence, or we give it a name, AI, what it is, and why it is good, and why it is bad. Oh, I should use my clicker. Okay, we are all sitting here talking about AI, and we know AI is a very transformative technology. It is transforming every domain, every business area. I just listed some of the examples here. You can see even in our personal life. How many of you use Facebook? Can you raise your hand? Okay, so when you upload some pictures to Facebook, you realize that an AI algorithm is running behind, and sometimes you may see, oh, some of our faces have some rectangle around it, because the AI algorithm is trying to identify the people in the picture, and even they can label what that person's name is. Behind it, it is AI. And even much earlier, in the 1997, there is an IBM computer equipped with AI algorithms that can beat the master level chess player. It is a machine, can beat a person, and that is a champion. More recently, we can see that AI is utilized in manufacturing to automate the process. It's utilized in medical domain to facilitate the surgeries, to facilitate the drug discovery. AI is utilized in space exploration and even in law school. The last picture I get it from Harvard Law School, and they are trying to incorporate AI in their law world. Very exciting. At the same time, AI doesn't only bring us positive news. We also heard a lot of worries, a lot of dooms, glooms around AI. Washington is trying to catch up with AI. So how to push our research and how to set up our policies to make sure AI is running to the right direction. And I'm a computer scientist. Many of my students come to me and saying, hey, Dr. Cao, do you think that we should still work on computer science degree because AI is writing code for us? They are worried, and AI is changing our world. And as a professor, and also talk with many of our colleagues, even at the K-12 level, the teachers, they are worried about the kids utilize AI too much. Probably some of you here already heard about ChatGPT, and that is a generative AI tool. I will talk more about that later on. But many students are utilizing those tools to help them with their homework, with their project. If they just copy and paste, guess what will happen? They learn nothing. So that's what we worry. And also recently, you probably heard about a lot of scams when you read newspapers. This is one I got from 2023 in Pierce County that happened to a family. The parents heard a phone call with their daughter's voice, literally their daughter's voice asking for help. And then later on, another person's voice showed up and then threatened them to get money, etc. behind it, it is AI. They are utilizing the AI technique to try to get people into trouble. We are really concerned. And even what's more concerning me, or concerning many of the AI researchers, is this one, the last one. The OpenAI's safety researcher, top researcher says, well, there is some chance, 10 to 20% of chance, that AI may take people's life. That's very concerning. Okay, we see the exciting side of AI. We see the dark side of AI. What should we do? What is the strategy we should take? Which direction we should go? I think we should at least have some more understanding about AI, a more understanding about the techniques, the mechanism behind, and so that we can make a more informed decision when we take some action. So I will start with a very basic definition of AI. What is AI? This term, artificial intelligence, AI, was first proposed by computer scientist John McCarthy in 1953. And when he proposed this term, it has two meanings. One, at general level, what does AI mean? The other one, at a more specific, narrow level, what is AI? At the general level, we generally refer to whatever it is the study and the development of computing systems that can help us to understand or incorporate humans' intelligence in all type of activities. And then from the narrow AI perspective, AI is defined just to be a branch of computer science. So at this time, if you forget everything else what I see, I would like you to remember AI is generally considered as a branch of computer science. You probably know computer science is an academic area or specific discipline. And when we use AI, generally the AI is embedded with some systems. When you are on the internet, and many times you will see some chatbot at the right bottom and ask Ivy, ask XYZ. And behind those chatbots, those are AI. The AI models, AI algorithms are there. And in the real world, nowadays we are using so many, which we call smart devices, to help us to monitor what's going on. That's which are called cyber physical systems. And in this system, we have many different type of devices. We call them Internet of Things devices to help us collect the data and based on the data and take actions. Behind it, it is AI. Oh, not just the AI, okay? Majority of the work is done by AI. And also, you probably heard about robots. What is guiding the robot's action? Well, there are some basic instructions, programming, and more importantly, the work they do is related to AI. So you can see our interaction with AI is generally through some either system application or through some devices. Hardware, we generally call hardware devices. However, AI is mainly software. If you see a robot, the robot itself is a hardware, just like a human. We are also some physical existence in this world. But what is really guiding a person's behavior or talking is our brain, our intelligence. And what is guiding a robot? It is AI, the algorithm that is embedded with the robot. Well, AI, everything's 1950s, but in 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, did you really hear about AI? Or did you even utilize any of the AI tools? Probably most of us do not. At least I didn't, even I work in the computer science area. Because AI went through several winters and several summers. I would like to give you a very quick landscape of AI. Everything's the name was proposed, the AI, and people feel very excited. Think about we can develop some system, some algorithm to mimic our humans' intelligence and help us. So that brings the dawn of AI in the 1960s. And people try to develop some mechanism to encode or formulate the knowledge so that the computer system can deal with that. And then, great, they finally change from the theory level to some practical program that can take action. So that's why we see the first summer of AI. However, after some years, people put effort in AI, they realize it is AI system is not that ideal. It is still like a toy. It doesn't help us do too much work. And the future looks good, but practically doesn't do much. The system is very brittle. It's not practical. It takes a lot of money, a lot of time to build it. So many people withdraw. Okay, we don't like it. We think maybe this is not the right time. So in the 1970s, we see a winter coming for AI. But then gradually, there are always some people, they think AI is still very promising. They put time and try to develop something which we call the expert system. In the 1980s, literally the effort we put in the 1960s and 70s, in particular in the knowledge representation, I will talk a little bit about that shortly, and it brings the bloom of expert system. Literally, the knowledge can be encoded to represent knowledge in different domains. The expert system is developed for different areas, in the medical area, for planning, for designing, etc. They see the hope of AI again. And at that time, also, people start to study the study of which we call neural network. Neural network is a new term. Later on, I will explain that a little bit more, and to push the AI agenda. But still, after some time, and some research findings start to dry up, and also people say only the big business can afford to pay to build those expert systems. For our ordinary people, what can we do? So AI again go to the very cold winter after the expert system bloom. And ever since then, AI has been lukewarm or cold until about 1 decade ago, 10 years ago. Because of the availability of large amount of data. Social media. Before, who can write newspapers? Only those the professional can write newspaper articles. Now, who can write an article and publish it? Everybody, right? You can register a social media account. You can write your story. You can post your pictures. That brings the large, huge amount of data that prepares the resurrection of AI. Second thing, the development in the hardware. In particular, some of you probably heard about NVIDIA, and it is a new giant in the hardware world because they produce tons of GPUs, graphical processing units, that enable the large amount of computation to build the AI models. So because of those two major factors, large amount of data, availability of hardware computing resources, that enable the AI to resurrect. AI today, it becomes accessible to everybody, to ordinary people at a very low cost. Just now, Ron is asking Siri, right? We have Alexa. I have Alexa at home. My 7-year-old daughter always asks Alexa for many questions to address a lot of her puzzles. So it is really accessible to everybody. Behind it, at least one technique is utilized, voice recognition. It should be able to, the AI algorithm should be able to identify what you are talking, right? That is AI. But then I also want to mention what is not AI. Some people talk about quantum computing. Some people talk about databases. None of them is AI. Quantum computing is relatively new, but it is a new computing paradigm. It is built based on the qubits. The qubits, the very distinct difference is one qubit can represent both 0 and 1. For the computer world, you see images, you see text, you see videos, audios. However, in the current traditional computing, we are based on only 0 and 1. So that is the major difference between quantum computing and our traditional computing. But AI is not quantum computing. And databases, since 1970s, databases revolutionizing this world. Bank systems, accounting systems, in the university banner systems, your payroll behind it, they are all databases. They have tons of data. They have great ways to organize the data, to store the data, and also to help you get the data. However, they are not AI. They provide the data for AI, but they are not AI. Well, with a basic understanding of AI, now I need to jump to the AI techniques. When we talk about AI, what specific techniques we counted as AI? The first one, this is the first technique, which we call symbolic AI. I mentioned knowledge representation and reasoning. And this AI tool technique was proposed in the 1950s. The basic idea is they use some formal representation. You can consider it to be something like math, okay, to represent the domain knowledge. Now, domain knowledge can be described using English, using German, using whatever. They translate it to be domain knowledge so that the computer can understand it. And then after they translate the domain knowledge to the formal representation behind it, they apply formal logic to make reasoning. This is the first technique of AI. Second one, search trees. Trees are different from the trees we plant in the real world. Tree is a very basic and critical data structure in the computer science world. But the search trees are generally representing the alternative solutions in an adversarial environment. For example, if you play chess, when you make a move, do you only look at what is your current situation? Probably not. You need to look into the several future steps. And then the search trees can represent those several future steps and analyze the situation and decide which move is the best for my future. And this search tree can be huge. That's why they develop a program to analyze this search tree. In 1997, this is the first AI success. And this IBM's Deep Blue defeat a master-level chess player. Third, expert system. I just mentioned about it. The expert system utilize symbolic AI and try to formalize the domain knowledge into some business world. And you can tell expert, right? So it need to deal with some specific domain with the knowledge and make reasoning. And one of them, when we represent this knowledge system, is called rule-based. The other one is called inference engine. I give you an example of the rule-based one. This is a rule-based expert system, what you want to see. For example, this one, it defines what is a bad or good electrical system. What is a bad one? If the spark plus condition is bad, or if the timing is not synchronized, or the battery is low, then probably this is in a bad situation. But on the opposite, which we call apply a logic not operator to the if condition, then it changes to the opposite. The opposite becomes if the plug condition is okay or good, and the timing is synchronized, and the battery level is high, then we can see then it is good. So this is a rule-based representation. Just to give an example, AI today. Okay, people talk about AI today, but they generally don't talk about the techniques I just mentioned just now. They generally don't mean the symbolic AI. They generally don't mean the search trees. What do they mean? They generally mean machine learning. Machine learning originated from the traditional AI, the symbolic knowledge representation and reasoning, and statistics. So that's why machine learning has another name called statistical AI. And machine learning makes a lot of progress because of two reasons I just mentioned. The availability of a large, huge amount of data. Without data, machine learning is useless. As I mentioned, neural networks started to be developed in the 1950s, but then people continued to develop it in 1980s. But at that time, the general people, we don't know about them because we don't have that much data to feed into those models. So data. And then what does machine learning learn? What does machine learning really do? In general term, we see machine learning try to extract knowledge from the data. Then what does the knowledge mean? This knowledge is generally different from when we talk about the domain knowledge. The knowledge has some specific meaning. For example, I may do some prediction, I may do some correlation, etc. Machine learning can be further categorized to be three: supervised machine learning, unsupervised machine learning, and reinforcement learning. They all depend on data. For supervised and unsupervised, their names are quite similar. The data they depend on has some difference. The only difference between these two types of machine learning tasks are in the supervised machine learning, the data has one type of data, we call them exemplars. And these exemplars are guiding the training of a machine learning model. However, in the unsupervised machine learning, we don't have any differentiation in the data. We just feed the bunch of data into the model. They will try to learn something there. The supervised learning, the common tasks later on you probably hear is like classification, regression, etc., or anomaly detection. But in the unsupervised learning, you will hear the terms such as clustering, association analysis, etc. And the third one is slightly different. It still utilizes data to train the model, but it also interacts with the environment. So many robots are utilizing reinforcement learning because they need to sense the environment. And based on the environment, based on the input, then the model can make adjustment. That is reinforcement learning. Two quick examples. Classification. This is a supervised learning example. You can see this is an object recognition task. I put a picture, and the picture try to identify how many objects are there and put a bounding rectangle and also tell what type of objects is this. This is a classification problem. Clustering, an example of clustering. Okay, somebody tried to analyze make predictions about crime, and they did some analysis and tried to put the places together if they share more similarity. So this is which we call clustering. I put the link there. If you see the slides, you can click and find more details. We now come to generative AI. We jump from knowledge representation to search trees, expert system to machine learning, then to generative AI. What is generative AI? First, generative AI is a branch of machine learning. Generative AI becomes machine learning. Generative AI can do supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforcement learning. And generative AI largely depend on one machine learning model called neural networks. Neural network is one type of machine learning models. But what does really generative AI is doing? The purpose of generative AI is they try to build a model. All the machine learning algorithm is from the data, build a model. That's what they are doing. But they try to build the model, but after the model is built, the generative AI is trying to generate new content. That's why it's called generative. Okay? The generative AI can generate text, can generate images, can generate videos, audios, etc. The scam I mentioned in the beginning, they are utilizing generative AI to generate the audio, the audio clip. Okay, till to now, generative AI is dominating this world, the techniques. But what about the future? Many researchers said that this is probably the current status already, which we call intelligent agents. What does an intelligent agent do? We consider intelligent agent is like anything that can be equipped with AI algorithms. And this intelligent agent can sense the environment, can think. Think means internally it can learn some knowledge and also can take action. Will our chair be an intelligent agent in the future? If you think of a way to embed AI algorithms, yes. If your sensor that you installed in your home to check your temperature will become an intelligent agent, possibly. And probably that is happening already. So this is the intelligent agent. And in order to build intelligent agent, again, we need to utilize machine learning, and then we need to utilize the knowledge representation again. We need to encode the knowledge about the environment, about the agent, about the agent's agent, the other agents, and such that they can reason, they can learn the knowledge, and they can react. Because of this intelligent agent, people start to talk about another thing called superintelligence. Superintelligence means you have some artificial intelligence that can surpass humans' intelligence. That is where some people start to worry and some people think it's okay. Okay, I finished the basic introduction of AI and the representative AI techniques. I want to particularly zoom in to this generative AI to see what is really happening in these generative AI models. Well, no matter whether it's generative already, AI is around us. There are many examples. But then when we talk about generative AI, nowadays probably this is something you can think of. Here, I gave some examples, like Google's Gemini. How many of you use Google's Gemini? Okay, I see several hands. How many of you use OpenAI's ChatGPT? I see more hands. How many of you use Copilot, Microsoft Code? Okay, more hands. Okay, just several examples. What can they do? They can generate many things for you, right? There are many other generative tools. The OpenAI, the DALL-E, can generate images, but now even ChatGPT can generate images. I have a picture at the end that shows what ChatGPT can generate. And how many of you heard about DeepSeek? Okay, several hands. Probably that is related to the stock market change several weeks ago, right? The DeepSeek. I will mention that later on. How does the generative AI model work? As I mentioned, generative AI is machine learning. Okay, but just as the machine learning model is very complicated, it's a deep neural network model. So what they do, because it is machine learning, it follows the same principle. It gets tons of data and feed into the model and try to learn the model. That's what the generative AI is doing. But the difference, the nuances is it tries to put the text or images to smaller pieces of chunk. We call them tokens. A small token, if it is from a text, it can be one word or chunk of word. If it is from an image, or it can be a pixel or a bunch of pixels, they are adjacent to each other. Those are the words. And then the generative AI consider the order of those tokens. For example, when I see I go to somewhere, I probably cannot say I go to somebody, right? So they consider the order of the words. You cannot just randomly put them together. So then they build a model. It utilizes the training data to build a large model we call a generative AI model. So all the tools you are using, ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, behind it, it is a pre-trained model. Okay, those companies spend a lot of money, a lot of resources to train those models. That's why when you utilize them, you need to pay in some cases. And then after we build the model, then we can utilize the model to do the generation. But when we do the generation, when I have the model, what type of things the model can generate for me? And generally, we utilize the mechanism which we call prompt. Basically, it is a question. I give a prompt to the model. It's like I ask a question. Like Siri, I ask the question, what is the most significant AI conference this year, right? That is a prompt. And then when I give the prompt, the model will generate something for me. I want to utilize this example to quickly show how this generation is happening. This one, given the sentence, she went to the store and what will be the next word the model can generate for me? I will use an oversimplified version to explain this. It first analyzes the tokens, okay, based on the tokens. And then the tokens will be the input to the model. And then use the model, you can see the probabilities of token sequences. That is something you can consider as the model. And then it will generate the next token. This example, she went to the store and based on that model, then there can be many choices. She went to a store probably buy something, right? So I can predict shopped. And also you can see, because she went to is a past tense, they also pay attention to the tenses and to change the word to just from the shop to shopped. And you can also make another reasonable prediction of she went to the store and bought something. Well, after bought, the model will continue to predict the next word. Or something, she went to the store and checked in something. All reasonable. What about this one? She went to the store and danced. I saw some of you laugh. Why? It doesn't sound very reasonable, right? So generative AI model, when you utilize them, this is the first thing. You need to be careful, or we need to be careful, which we call, the problem is called hallucination. Not everything that is generated by the generative AI model is trustworthy, okay? It is not fact. And because machine learning is a statistical AI model, everything machine learning gives you is not 100% accurate. If you want your employee to say, you must finish this 100% correct, that person can do it for you. Machine learning model cannot, okay? Machine learning model is a statistical model. It can only give you, this is the prediction with 99% confidence. They will never give you 100% confidence prediction. Because of that nature, generative AI model cannot give you 100% content generation either. So we need to take it carefully. This is the hallucination. Sorry, I jumped to one slide forward. In this generative AI model building, it is very important that we need to build the model. Now comes to the DeepSeek. When we build the model, we need tons of data, factor one, very powerful computing resource, and tons of energy consumption. Okay? And then when the DeepSeek, the new Chinese company, announced it, it surpasses all the other American-based company trained generative AI models. People are very, very surprised. And they claim that their model can be trained using much low-cost devices. They don't need the expensive GPUs produced by NVIDIA. That's why NVIDIA's stock market, one major reason, jumps dramatically. What can we do with generative AI? I think this whole day, all the workshops is telling you this. I will skip this one. Last slide of my talk. We come back to the concerns of AI. We can see AI can do tons of things for us, but many concerns also are hidden. So machine learning model, it is a statistical model, and it can have bias. When the data that is fed into the model has evenly distributed data, the model may have bias. And when we utilize the model, machine learning model can behave like a black box. They just tell you, I predict this to be a cat, but how, why? If we are just doing this for entertainment purpose, not a big problem. In critical areas, we need to know what's happening. Explainability and also privacy. When we feed data into the model, what data can we use? When the companies are utilizing those data, are they utilizing any personal information you put on the website and you don't want to expose? Privacy issue. And when you utilize a generative model, when I utilize a generative AI model to write my research article, I should make a claim that I do use it. Ethical use of AI. Even further concerns. In the future, will superintelligence replace humans? Currently not yet, but people are concerning. Because of these concerns, should we stop using AI? Or should we use AI with proper actions taken so that we can minimize the effect of the concerns? So that's why I put a picture. This picture is generated by ChatGPT. If you look at it carefully, the words don't read quite correct, but the image looks very vivid. You threw a baby out with the bathwater. But with AI, like the baby, do we want to use it? If not, I guess probably that's not the choice. If yes, then what should we do? I will finish my talk here. Thank you for your attention.
Testing. Testing, testing, testing. Am I coming through loud and clear in the back? All right, awesome. Great. What can I help you with? Not too much pressure there. So a very different interface as we transition from Dr. Cao. Thank you so much. And I'm really grateful for this foundation, because the thing about using AI is it's important to realize that it is simulating thinking and simulating reasoning, which I think you captured really well through probabilities. So one of the most important things to know is that you are helping to shape the future of AI. So we're going to start, I was curious when I got to Farmington what meetups were happening in Farmington, but I'm going to start with being very polite. Hi, how are you today? Now this can seem really silly, but these systems are trained on our data and they're continuing to get retrained. So knowing that our data is getting scraped, sometimes ethically, sometimes with our permission, sometimes not, to build these systems, the way we interact with them shapes the future of the results of them. So we want to be polite, even if it seems really silly. It's not about pretending it's a human, although you can if you wish. It's about training the kind of values we want into the system. So can you share with me what meetups are happening in Farmington, NM, and how many members are in each? Okay, and let's see what happens. Oh, and let me set a timer because I'm probably going to get excited and go all sorts of over. Okay, so it comes out with 2. I happen to be 40, so although not single, but I saw that we had that. So we have these 2 groups. So I checked, and is there a hallucination happening here? Let's see. Nope, we've got 42 members and 92 members. So let's go back to the numbers. 90 members, so pretty close. Now, I am partnering with Realm IQ, and myself are partnering with NMSU to offer AI courses. And we also do consulting. So one of the things I do as a consultant is help teams increase their capacity for innovation. So if I then type in how many meetup groups in Farmington, NM, the robots don't like this. They're fighting back. How many business and innovation meetup groups are there? Because maybe I want to start one. I want to know what's already going on there. So let's see what it says. All right, the names and numbers. Okay, so now these 2 meetups do not actually exist in Farmington, New Mexico. So it did actually catch this time Farmington, Michigan, but this Fresh Startup Friday is also in Farmington, Michigan. So I looked this up before. So this is a hallucination. This is an example of a time when ChatGPT does not know how to say I don't know, and it doesn't know how to say none. It is a probability machine. It's going to pop out the highest probability answer if it's 98% accurate, even if it's wrong. So really, really important to check these results. So, and as Ron mentioned, I'm going to be this afternoon one of 4 people in the workshop to do hands-on training. So I'm going to be rapidly flying through some things, but come visit me later. So I have some prepared prompts, and I have some that I'm going to do real time. But I want to play, and so this is a free version of ChatGPT. And I'm going to show you a paid version later so you can see the difference. So in the free version, you'll see my chats start to add up over here. And it keeps a history for you. So I'm going to start a new chat here. And so this is an example where I needed help refining an email. It was to a client, and it was, I had to deliver some bad news. And I'm not always good at these, and I sit for hours trying to figure out the right wording to put in the email. Does anyone else have that issue? Yeah, it's hard to draft an email when it's complicated. So what I came up with was, hi Hannah, it looks like I won't have a pre-reading available after all. I realize even if I did, it'd be too late. I realize it would have been helpful and supportive, and I've just run out of time. I've made great progress, and I look forward to our meeting tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. It's not great. So I asked ChatGPT, can you refine this for me? And pretty quickly, hi Hannah, I wanted to update you that I won't have a pre-reading available for the leadership team before our meeting tomorrow. Given the timing, I realize it would likely be too late anyway. That said, I have made great progress and I'm looking forward to our discussion. I'll continue refining the findings today and leading up to our meeting. If I have something ready, just already to me, way better, really helpful. So obviously this doesn't apply perhaps to your position or your role, but this is a way I use ChatGPT all the time. It helps improve my relationships with my clients, coworkers, peers, and it really helps me get my message across in a good way. So let's jump to an image. So, image generation. I would love you to just shout out real quick. What are some ways you think image generation could be helpful in your role? Just 2 or 3 shout outs. PowerPoint presentations, great. What was that other one? Same thing. Okay, let's go with PowerPoint presentations because that's how I use it the most. Because especially if you're trying to present a project or present up to a board of directors or up to the level above you or to your peers trying to present complex data, getting a really precise image can mean a slide that would have had 200 words on it. And sometimes, I don't know about you all, but I spend, again, hours searching, image databases, those websites you go to download stock images for hours trying to find the right one. So, I had a scenario, I'll tell you about Juniper in a second. Juniper is my AI assistant. I'll tell you about her shortly. So can you write a DAL-E prompt? Now, Dr. Cao introduced DAL-E. So DAL-E is a built-in image generation capacity in ChatGPT. So please take this lesson from me. I spent hours, like days learning this lesson, maybe weeks, that it's really hard to write an image prompt to get it right, to get what you're looking for. Have ChatGPT write it for you. So I never start with the image generation. Can you write a DAL-E prompt for an image that would depict ownership mindset and of an executive in a 3,500 employee organization where they have to own the entire picture of the organization? So this again was for a presentation I was making to a client. And I wanted to capture this. So immediately it creates this giant paragraph. Now, I never ever would have thought about writing a paragraph. I would have wrote what I wrote and said create this image. And it creates weird stuff when you do that. Let's actually show you. Let me create an image. So we'll first create this image. Create an image that depicts ownership mindset. And let's see what it comes up with. It's probably going to be awesome because I'm on stage improvising. Okay, so this is typically what I get. It's a little weird. It's like futuristic. AI loves putting these like futuristic earths and lines and things. I wouldn't put this in front of a client. So now let's see what it came up with. So a visionary executive stands a high-rise building. Okay, so it's doing the same thing. So I'm gonna say, can you come up with a different DAL-E prompt? So now instead of waiting for image after image, you first refine the prompt with a different leadership metaphor, maybe involving puzzle pieces out of a whole. That's what just came to mind. Okay, so now I'm going to have it generate another prompt. Oh, okay, this is a good example. So, really important to be specific. So, come up with or create is usually going to have it go right to another image. But if I specifically say, can you write a different DAL-E prompt? Oh, no, it's making a liar out of me. So that usually works. Let me stop that. So the importance of specificity. So let me stop this. Okay. So let me try this again. Can you write a DALL-E prompt with a different leadership metaphor? Can you write? That should work. So let me give this a try. Okay. We're going to come back to this because I only have 30 minutes, and it's being, this is the part of play with AI. You've sometimes just got to play around. So let me show you something else. Okay. So we're still in the theme of PowerPoint presentations. Maybe how many people need to worry about social media marketing in their role? Okay, a small amount of people. Okay, so you can also use this for summarizing information, summarizing meeting notes, various things. So this is a personal blog of mine. So I'm going to go into here and start a new ChatGPT. So every time you want to start a new one, okay, they actually did a good job here on this one. So I didn't need to create another prompt. Oh, it went crazy. Created a couple. So this to me is a little bit more the metaphor I was like hoping for of some way. There's too many words. So we could keep playing around with this, but the main idea is that you want to play with images. You want to play with DALL-E prompts. So let's do one more example of this. We'll jump between two different things at once to maximize time. So I'm going to come back here and let's see. I have another example. Okay. So I'm going to start a new ChatGPT, and can you write, so now I give context. I'm about to present to a room of 8 C-suite executives about their role in the senior leadership team. Can you write a DALL-E prompt around this concept? And this time I said it can be literal or metaphorical. Metaphorical may be actually better. So now it's creating this idea about a high mountain peak at sunrise, overlooking a vast landscape of intersecting routes. They are sketching grand designs in the air with, see, right here, I would already, before generating, remove, ChatGPT is obsessed with glowing lines. Remove the glowing lines, and so sketching grand designs in the air with glowing lines, and make this more realistic. Please write a new prompt to remove the glowing lines and make this more realistic. Okay, they engage in deep discussion, pointing toward different directions and mapping out possibilities on a large notepad or tablet. In the distance, a team of workers is beginning to build infrastructure. So let's just say create this image. And now sometimes what I'll do is I'll create a new ChatGPT window, because what I noticed is it actually does better when you start fresh. Sometimes the history can actually mess with it. So starting a new ChatGPT after I get the prompts gives it a fresh landscape, so it's not pulling on the history. Because it does learn even in a short session. Okay, and now sometimes it gives you two responses. So let's come back to these images, and I want to show you an example of summarizing a blog. I'm going to introduce you to Juniper now. So we've got one ChatGPT generating images for us, and now I'm going to introduce you to Juniper. So this is what you get when you pay for ChatGPT. You have the ability to create what Dr. Cao introduced, which is a initial version of an agent. So I have my team up here. I've got Juniper, who is an expert content marketing strategist for social media and detailed LinkedIn articles, and I've got Neutrino, who is an expert ActiveCampaign newsletter creator. Now, why is this helpful? Depending on your role, if you have a lot of things you're trying to do, you can upload. So if I go here to edit Juniper, okay, nothing is, of course, all best laid plans. But you can, you can edit your agents and upload documents to them. So I've uploaded all of my blogs, all of my things, so that Juniper can pull from my languaging, the way I talk, to actually write updates, write emails, write things. So you can have one for emails that you have to, when you're managing up, emails when you're reaching out to your peers, if you need different tone of language. You can upload different data sets that it'll still pull from the larger data set of of all of ChatGPT, but it'll also refine it based on your own languaging. So you get this when you pay for ChatGPT. And I also want to introduce you to extensions. So when I found ChatGPT, you can see I use it quite a lot, and I have a long list of things that are completely unorganized. And ChatGPT doesn't have a built-in nature yet. But it's also nice because people are making their own updates. So if you're going to use ChatGPT, I highly recommend this extension called ChatGPT Folders. It installs into Chrome automatically and adds these folders to the left side of your thing, which then can organize some of your discussions by clicking on one and adding it to a folder. So it's really, really nice feature for organization. Okay, so I'm going to create a new Juniper, and I'm going to have Juniper summarize a blog post that I wrote. And this is really helpful for ideation, summarizing if you need to create a marketing post or anything like that. It can summarize really quickly. And now, maybe I want to make 1, 2, and 3 different slides in a presentation or 3 different social media posts. So I'll say, can you add 3 bullet points to each of those with a little more detail? Okay. And now it'll pop out a little more detail. So it's building on prompts. So when you hear the word prompt engineering, you all are learning a very crash course in prompt engineering right now of sometimes trying to get it on the first shot to increase efficiency, especially the image generation, because that can take a lot of your time. But with this, you can just really refine and get what you're looking for. Now, let's go back and visit. Okay, this is great. So both of these, even though it still has a futuristic element, to me, this is the kind of thing I would want to put in a PowerPoint presentation, either one of these, because it's capturing a concept that captures, in this case, an executive team trying to formulate a strategy. So they're thinking about the complexities of the intertwining roads and all of that. Now, would I have ever wrote to create intertwining roads in a valley? No. But it came out really, really good. So this is first, the step is first have it write you a DALL-E prompt, D-A-L-L-E, and then start a new ChatGPT and have it actually create the image. I'm going to introduce you, Dr. Cao also introduced Perplexity. So I have a number of windows open here. One of them, somewhere, is Perplexity. So Perplexity is a search engine. It's different than ChatGPT in that the interface is much more like a search engine. And if I were to just search, did I set a timer? Yes, okay. We're going to get to some personal examples right after this. So I'm going to go to auto. So what is the best restaurant in Farmington? I'm probably going to create all sorts of chaos in the room with this one. But let's see what happens. So, and Google is also building in AI summaries as well. But you'll see. Okay, number 1 got TJ's Diner. How many people agree? Oh gosh, not the number 1 in the room. But shout out to TJ's. So it also gives you results. So it gives you search engine results and an AI summary to kind of help you from not having to click on all the results. Now Google will do something similar, but Perplexity just 2 weeks ago, I wanted to introduce this to you all, unveiled deep research. And when you click on deep research, it does deep research for you. So before I came in, I generated, I'm a consultant supporting founders, executives, and leadership teams to increase capacity for innovation, uncertainty, and ambiguity, et cetera, et cetera. Can you help me create a LinkedIn post marketing plan for the next 3 months? And it did, with sources, details, reasons why, a whole week 1 through week 12 plan, that I can now take this marketing plan, let me copy it, and bring it over to ChatGPT and say, hi again, thanks so much for your help. Just want to make sure they don't murder me later. Can you take this marketing plan and turn it into a table for that I can paste into a spreadsheet? And let's see what it does. So this is about creating, now you're witnessing creating workflows. So just pasting it super messy, not really taking any time. So this is how you start to think about workflows. Okay, so now it's putting this into a table for me. So let's come back to that. So let's get Orion some relationship advice. In order to explain how you can use this personally, where is it? I have so many, did I delete it? I probably deleted it because I was subconsciously embarrassed to put it up here. Where is it? Gosh, okay, it was a good example. Well, let's see, okay, if it's not here, then I will ad-lib it. Okay, so I'll ad-lib it. And we'll come back to you, marketing plan. Let's go back over to Juniper, because I feel safer with Juniper. I entered into a new relationship, and so I recently entered into a new relationship. You can either laugh with me or laugh at me, whatever you prefer. And I'm afraid she's falling for me too fast. And I want to run away at times. But I know this is a pattern of mine when I have someone that really cares. Someone that really cares, how can I be sure that she is, or how can I communicate about this? Let's just leave it at that. And now, this is really interesting. You know, I'm a coach by trade. I've been doing it for over a decade, so I'm kind of like popping myself out of a job here because AI does a really good job of coaching if you need some advice in different things. And to really help, it's trained on a lot of empathy and blog posts and things around how to navigate these types of situations. So if you're just like, I don't know how to handle this situation, and you're about to call your girlfriend like a madman and break up with her, you can pause and ask for some advice if your therapist or coach is unavailable. So let's see, start with self-awareness. Your tendency to want to run when someone deeply cares may be tied to past experiences. Fears of vulnerability, so now she asked me more questions, which can help me sit and think about it. Be honest but not hurtful. Oh, like this is great, I would have never said this. I've noticed that when someone really cares for me, I sometimes feel an urge to leave. I don't want that to get in the way of what we're building. You know, it's just obviously rushing through this, so I would ask more questions and refine it. But I've used this, and I've had friends use this at times to really help them not make really reactive mistakes. To pause, think, what do I want to say? What's the best way to say this? How many parents do we have in the room? Okay, quite a bit, great. So let's play with some parental examples. So my son wants me to help him with algebra. This familiar to anyone? Okay, so how would I explain to him to answer x squared plus 2x minus 8? Let's see what ChatGPT says. So, very complicated. Okay, so now can you say it to me like I'm 5 so I can explain it to my son in a way he can understand? A little simpler, please. Well, let's see what it says. Sure, no problem. So let's pretend we have a mystery number, and when we put it into this little math machine, x squared plus, it needs to equal 0. Already I feel better about this. To figure out what the mystery number is, we have to break this big problem into smaller pieces. We need two numbers that when we multiply give us -8. So I don't know about you, but you know, not having done algebra in a while, just having this as a resource, if my child comes to me and needs help, that I can actually at least work with him to break it down. Versus not really being able to help at all. So that's one example. Bedtime stories. How nice would it be to create personalized bedtime stories? So I don't have a daughter, but just as an imagination, my daughter loves dragons, ice cream, fluffy clouds, and oranges. Can you write me a fun bedtime story that I can tell her? She's 7 years old. So just giving you an example, these can be ways to build your relationships. These are ways to enhance your life. The pitfall of AI is that you can end up using it to create more efficiency in your life and then fill that space up with more doing. I really want to invite you all to watch out for that, because the reason for this conference, the reason I'm here, and so thankful to NMSU and the team for allowing me this space, and for SJC for this space, is that each each of your voices is really important because everyone in this room, you have a chance to shape AI, but also to shape your lives in a new way. To not let AI become another way to do more things, but to let it take over some of the ways that would take you a lot of time so you can be more deep in your relationships. And this is one way. So I can email this out to anyone that wants it later. We're not going to read it, but if you have a 7-year-old daughter who happens to like dragons and ice cream, you got a new bedtime story. But it's just an example, and it's really helping to be a thought partner, a creative thought partner. Because one thing I'll show you real quick, this may scare some of you, but you're not going to hear the sound on this because this laptop isn't connected to the sound, but watch the me in the bottom right corner. So, the big secret here is that's not me. That's an AI-generated version of me. And it is quite scary in a lot of ways that I only submitted a 2 to 3 minute video into this software called HeyGen. And now I can script that virtual me to say anything I want. The scary part of that is probably anyone else could too. And Dr. Chow brought up that example before of the robocall. So this technology can be scary, but it's all about what we choose to do with it. And so there's an AI course that Andrew Cedillo is going to be speaking with you about later, a couple courses on the NMSU website that you all have a big discount for. This is one of them, a Realm IQ course, the organization I'm a part of. And we used this technology to create this course because what it allowed us to do is tell a better story instead of spending hours in front of the camera trying to get it right. But we had to learn a new skill set. I had to learn how to be a creative director. I had to learn how to be a script writer. I had to learn how to give an actor directions because this virtual me sounded super weird when I wrote down what I wanted it to say. I had to learn how to actually write a script, like a screenplay writer. So why I'm saying that is that AI allows you to learn new skills, to step more into your creativity, less out of the productivity, I need to get all this done, because it can look up all the data and statistics for you. It can summarize blog posts in a second. So let's come back. It can organize LinkedIn marketing tables. So now, while I'm getting my bedtime story ready for my daughter tonight, AI is working on my marketing strategy. So now can you put a detailed plan into a table with dates and content titles for a social media marketing campaign for this strategy for 3 months. Okay, so we'll come back to that in a second. Well, actually, it's moving pretty quick. So dates, content titles, formats. So it automatically puts it into a table. Now, you can generate spreadsheets out of AI, but I haven't found it to be really great yet. They're still figuring that out. So what I like to do is have it go into a table, and then I will take this, copy it, open Excel, and paste. And it pastes really nice. Nice enough. Got to do a couple edits here. But, and this can then I can go back in and say, welcome to Ethical, Why It Matters. And I can go into Juniper, and based on my previous blog post, can you give me a summary of a good article for this based on how I write? And then I can start to churn it out. So it's starting to create these workflows that can ease time. Let's see what else we got here. How much time I got left? A couple minutes. So I'm going to do one more thing, actually. I just want to show you one more thing, or rapid fire a few different softwares, because how many people use Canva? Okay, cool. So about 50% of the room. So Canva for PowerPoint presentations, design a presentation for a consulting presentation for a group of 30 executives. So AI tools are built into a lot of the tools you're already using today. That's a key thing too. You don't have to go to ChatGPT. Just like it's been with us for so many years with Siri, it's getting built into a lot of our materials. So you can use it, and Magic Design is the Canva one. So you can look at some of these samples it created. Oh, this is, it created posts for me. So empowering business strategies today. I think I created one as a sample before, let's hope. Yes. So this is a sample slide deck I had created earlier today. Let me just do that again. And then I also want to show you, for those of you that use Gemini in the room, I had it open here. So Gemini helped me write. So, hey Gemini, I need to write a I need to write a email to the company about a new HR policy around time off, and I'm stuck on how to start it. So again, built right into Google Docs. So Gemini, if you have Google Workspace, this is a paid feature, but if you have, so I'm showing you some free, some paid. And then one last thing, I know I'm jumping all over the place, I told you I'd get excited, but we're about to pass it off to Nadia, who's gonna tie this into corporate. So I'm actually gonna leave it there. If you wanna, I'm gonna not show you anything more with images. If you wanna play with images later, I can show you how to use ChatGPT to edit images and a lot of other cool things. But for the most part, I do want to pass it off to Nadia now to start to bridge from these potential workplace examples or business owner examples around emails, around summaries. In Zoom also, if you all use Zoom, there's a couple settings I can show you all later, how to set up AI transcripts and AI summaries just with 2 clicks. And then you can use those to create summaries and meeting notes. So I think Nadia is going to go into a lot more of how they're doing that at El Paso Electric, which I'm excited to learn about as well. So thank you all for your time. I hope to see you later.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much. Can you hear me? Is this on? Yes? Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm really excited to talk with you guys a little bit about how El Paso Electric is, let's see if we can get my slides up there. That is a beautiful image and probably AI generated. Let's see. So before we can get, oh, there we go. Yeah, there's a video a little bit later on in the presentation, but it doesn't have any sound, so we're good. We're good with that. Oh yes, we do have a Google video. That's right. Could we put that on first, please? This kind of gives us an example of somebody that's actually in Las Cruces and how they're utilizing AI in their own business. It's really interesting, and it was actually in some of the markets during the Super Bowl. So some of you may have seen this already, but I think it's very interesting, and I love that it was close to home.
Very vibrant and colorful people. I wanted to bring that into my beauty brand. Turquoise and your yellows and your reds and your dusk, sunset, sunrise colors. Growing up, Chicana and indigenous culture, tradition was the center of everything that we did. And we do, still to this day. I'm Cece, and I'm the founder and CEO of Prados Beauty. And now she glows to the gods. When I was 27, I went to cosmetology school, and I was working backstage at New York Fashion Week. I was in the hub of the makeup world, but no one looked like me. I was tired of being unseen. I have daughters who are also indigenous, and I don't ever want them to feel how I felt in that moment. So I started Prados Beauty in my daughter's nursery. When she would take naps, I would work in there and just start doodling and creating things. But not having a business background, I needed to research and really learn about what I was doing. I started going to the University of Google, as we call it. June of 2019, I launched my website, and then a few years later, I took part in our Grow with Google event. When I first learned about AI, I was like, oh my gosh, like, robots are gonna take over the world. But this gave me the opportunity to learn about AI, specifically Gemini from Google. I thought this could help my business in a big, big way.
So I use Gemini to learn about things like what SEO is and what keywords are important to my brand specifically. But I also use it for creative, fun stuff.
Help me write a social media post using this image. Make it fun and trendy. Oh, how cute!
Also things like packaging ideas. I can take those ideas to my team and say, hey, this is an idea, but I want to tweak it a little bit. Something that would take me all day or even 2 days to do, I can do it, in an hour. It's very helpful for me and my business.
Hi, I'm Cece Meadows, and I'm going to be doing a orange minimalistic look.
For me, makeup is more than just something that you put on your face.
I'm gonna take this pretty light blue.
It allows the world to see you how you want to be seen.
And forget the lip gloss.
I always give credit to my products because I love them.
To create something that helps someone feel and look beautiful. It's not just an honor for me to be able to do it, but to do it in a way that pays homage and respect to those that came before me. I think that is a big driver of why Browse has been successful in this space.
So great example of how anybody can use Gen AI or AI within their own business. I want to start by asking, I looked at the survey. I think there was a survey put out for all of the participants today, and they asked about your level of understanding of AI. And there's a couple of people there that put expert. If you are in the room, I would love for you to come talk to me. I am not an AI expert, and I really would like to know from the experts in the room, how do they use AI and what are their level of understanding and stuff, because AI is changing. Today, I'm going to show you a small clip a little bit later of an AI-generated imagery that we did probably 8 months ago. And that is not the same AI that I'm using today. It's changing so rapidly, it's hard to keep abreast of what's going on. So let's get into powering the future. I put this up here. This is our El Paso Electric's mission and vision statement. I think some of you might be interested or curious about why does a completely regulated utility that has a stated rate of return and a captured audience, well, I mean, why do they even want to use AI? The promise of AI is to make things easier and faster and more creative for you, but why? Why would we want to do that? And we'll see a little bit later on about the pillars that go beneath this vision and mission statement. But that's pretty big, transforming the energy landscape. That's huge, right? How do you do that? How do you do that with reasonable cost? So that's why we want to use AI. That's why it's important for us to really leverage technology in everything that we do at El Paso Electric. A little bit about El Paso Electric. I think most of you probably are familiar with us, but we are a vertically integrated, totally regulated utility that provides generation, transmission, and distribution service. Our service territory is over 10,000 square miles. We will go from Hatch, New Mexico, all the way to Van Horn, Texas, covering, as I said, about 10,000 square miles. We have approximately 460,000 customers. So that's a lot of surface area and relatively sparse customers within that. So that's another issue that we're facing at El Paso Electric. So that we've got a lot of ground to cover, but not a lot of people to spread the costs over. So we're very cost conscious about how we utilize our dollars and provide value to our customers. We have about 3,000 megawatts of owned generation. That's consisting of renewables, gas, and nuclear. We're about 42% carbon free today, with a goal of reaching 80% carbon free by 2035. I almost said 2025, and then I was going to go, oh no, we're not there yet. We are one of 4 vertically integrated utilities in Texas that are not within the ERCOT area. And I think you probably have heard a lot about ERCOT in the last few years and the freeze, etc. We were not part of the ERCOT area, just to be clear. So let's talk a little bit about AI and how AI burst onto the scene and how did utilities respond. You see here, I got this AI, 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 and that's kind of how it felt to us. So I remember being in our team room. We were going to have a staff meeting, and AI was certainly a lot in the news and stuff like that, but it didn't seem like anybody was adopting right away. But there was a couple of us kind of nerdy people in that room. We thought, well, let's try this out. As we were trying it out, then my boss comes down, and then we introduce him to it, and he just loved it. He's not a techie guy at all, but he really, really loves it. And it was an opportunity to bring AI that had been really the realm of data scientists, done in a room where nobody knew what was going on. A lot of people thought, oh, it's this black box kind of stuff. Can't really tell you what's going on, but here's the answer. And it took that out of that black box and it brought it to us, to the end user. And it was a really interesting and exciting time. So we had to decide as the slow rumble started to really get to a loud roar, how are we going to approach this? And a lot of utilities we were right in sync with a lot of utilities. All of us were like, geez, here's something completely new, something that we're promised will be disruptive. How do we think about this? How do we use it? How do we leverage it? So first of all, we needed to kind of define what AI was. And Dr. Cao talked a little bit about that earlier and about how generative AI is really just part of a whole big thing that's called artificial intelligence, right? And so when AI first burst onto the scene, everybody was saying AI, but they really meant generative AI. That was their touch point. So we really had to frame an understanding of what AI was. We recognized that AI was being utilized within El Paso Electric already, but more in the machine learning and the deep learning parts, and not this really generative AI. So we really had to kind of take a step back and maybe educate people a little bit about what is that and how are we going to define it. Well, we came to find out that there's no real universal definition for AI, or generative AI even. And so we looked around for a lot of different areas, and we kind of came up with one that we felt was going to be depictive of what was already going on in El Paso Electric, and then this kind of bold movement into what generative AI could mean for us. Then we looked at forming an AI working group. That was kind of the genesis of our kind of thought leadership here. How are we going to look at this? We crafted an AI policy, which we felt like was pretty difficult given the fact that there wasn't a clear definition. So we started out with the clear definition. And then we looked at an initial approach. And we thought the approach should be bold and responsible. Other utilities did not take that tact, right? A lot of utilities that I know said, we're not going to allow people to use generative AI at all. They shut it completely down. You couldn't get to it at all. At El Paso Electric, we didn't feel like that was the right thing to do. We felt like if we were able to put in the correct guardrails, do the proper training, we could allow people to use generative AI in a really meaningful manner to advance their work. We knew that in order to recognize the true benefits of any AI solution, it could only be realized through adoption. So then we set about creating some training for people. Training that allowed them first to be introduced to it. I saw a statistic once that said that it's probably going to take 10 years for generative AI to be fully adopted. We can't wait that long. We can't wait that long to experience the benefits of that, to move us into the energy future. So we created some learning around generative AI. A lot of it was introductory, similar to what you guys heard here today. We're going to be deepening that learning and then talking a little bit more about prompt engineering, which Orion talked to us about today too. Dolly, that was a good learning for me, thank you. I do generate pictures and stuff, but I did not use the Dolly prompt, so I'm going to be using that in the future. So as we started to train our workforce, we were always also asking people, hey, what do you think? How do you think this is going to affect your job? What is the wouldn't it be cool if this could thing? And so we started a use case library. And that use case library, we were going to look at that use case library and then decide, utilizing a value matrix, what's important? How do we drive our mission and vision for El Paso Electric, given the pillars that we've established as a company? What are the generative AI or AI things, because we didn't limit our use case library to simply generative AI, but what are the AI things that people are interested in? And what drives value for us and value for our customers? Our philosophy was fail fast and embrace the bold and responsible adoption of AI through innovation and taking care of cybersecurity. So bold and responsible. I can tell you there was a contingent of people at El Paso Electric that were not terribly happy with the bold piece, and that was IT and cybersecurity. The reason that other utilities were shutting down generative AI is because there was a real possibility that people would be uploading company private or personally identifiable information into a chat GPT, and it's out there for the world to have now. And so, as we looked at how are we going to do this, we decided that we could be bold and responsible, and that those two things were not mutually exclusive. We could do them together. We had to figure out how. So we started with an objective: strategically leverage AI to enhance the operational efficiency, drive innovation, and foster reliability. We started with an AI approach paper, which is still in draft today, and I think will probably continue to be in draft for eternity. Why? Because AI is changing, and we need to change with it. Our thoughts need to change with it. So our philosophy here is to really reevaluate that paper, maybe every 6 months, maybe sooner, really, given the amount of change that we're seeing. But to really challenge ourselves to utilize this new technology to the best of our abilities and find ways to make things faster and easier for us to do. We, of course, needed to look at the safeguards. We needed to safeguard customers' information, employees' information, and our assets. That's the ethics and the responsible piece. We had to align with the company mission, vision, and focus on value. Again, how are we going to drive value within the pillars that El Paso Electric are already set up? And we'll go through those in just a minute. Then we wanted to embrace technology throughout EPE, so that we have that training component. And that's how we transform the energy landscape. It's through the people that work with and for El Paso Electric. Then we looked at some real, like, rubber hits the road kind of stuff. What is our readiness for AI? We had to consider a lot of things. One of the first steps in adopting AI in any form is to do a readiness assessment. And what are the types of things that we're assessing? So data quality. So Orion and Dr. Cao both talked about how AI needs a lot of data. But if you just put in data that's not clean or that has a lot of missing values, then the response that you're going to get out of it's not going to be effective. So we had to look at a data quality. Do we have data quality issues? Data infrastructure. AI requires sometimes real-time access to the underlying data that informs these models that we're building. That requires a robust data infrastructure that has access controls in place, so who can see what when, facilitates seamless connections to diverse data sources, and manages data effectively. Dr. Cao talked about how data is in databases and how databases are not AI, but they feed AI. So we need to know, do we have the proper data management strategy in place to feed AI from the databases that we currently had and the information that we were storing there? How do we leverage our data to move us forward? Data access, always a big concern, certainly a big concern for our cybersecurity people. They certainly don't want people getting access from the outside into our data, but there's restrictions around who can see what data within El Paso Electric also. And then the data literacy piece. And that's really about learning. And we had to launch a comprehensive awareness campaign. It was imperative that we teach people how to use AI, what it was, generative AI, and how to leverage generative AIs to make things for them easier. To conduct AI at scale, an organization requires a robust IT infrastructure and data management framework capable of handling large volumes of data, complex computations, and sophisticated AI models effectively. We talked about a lot of things up here with my other colleagues, and I think the one thing that the takeaway here is, if you're going to do AI at your company, make sure that your data is good. Make sure that you do a readiness assessment so that you can understand if you have gaps and where you need to fill those gaps so that you can most effectively use AI in your company. So let's look at what are some of the use cases that we developed both in El Paso Electric and in other utilities that I'm familiar with. Although it doesn't say here on this slide, this is an AI-generated image here. And you can see where it's, again, with a light, the orange, or the starburst behind it. So, again, our mission and vision is to transform the energy landscape and empower economic growth, innovation, and prosperity. That's our why. It has to do with our vision statement. Our pillars at El Paso Electric are to advance grid modernization, serve growth, advance a cleaner future, be a trusted partner, advance innovation within our company, and really have a laser focus on the customer experience. EPE is dedicated to providing reliable power at reasonable rates. It's that reasonable rates piece, right? So if we're going to do all this grid mod, all this serving of load, all this cleaner future, how are we going to do that and have reasonable rates? In order for us to enhance our grid, serve growth, provide clean energy, and innovate, we have to take advantage of the efficiencies that AI offers. This helps us to do things that transform the energy landscape and keep costs reasonable. Today, our grid infrastructure is aging. We have more demand for electricity in data centers, electric vehicles, electronic goods. And the place and time that electricity is being demanded is changing too. Our customers are demanding cleaner energy, and they need to trust that we have the strategy, the personnel, and the ability to deliver on their expectations. All of this while providing some exceptional customer service. These are the pillars where AI can be leveraged to provide products and services demanded while keeping rates reasonable. So now let's get to the everyday AI. Remember, our objective when we started this AI journey at El Paso Electric was just to strategically leverage AI to enhance operational efficiency, drive innovation, and foster reliability. We really were interested in delivering think time, that's the innovation piece, back to people within the business units, but it had to deliver value. So as Orion had pointed out, you can summarize documents and do research. You can create presentations in PowerPoint or other presentations. You can draft emails, you can create images, and you can write and correct code, all within generative AI. So I wanted to give you guys some testimonials from some of the business units that I talked to before I came out here to this conference and give you an idea of how they're utilizing generative AI and what it means for them. And so the delivering value part here for governmental affairs. They're of course using it to summarize some legal documents and do some analysis, and then using Copilot to create presentations. So here's a bit of a testimonial. AI has enhanced our ability to analyze utility rate cases by leveraging Gen AI. We effectively process vast data sets, identify trends, and here's the value piece, and formulate robust arguments to support our filings. When I was thinking about value before we got really heavily into analytics at El Paso Electric, I thought the value really had to be in the dollars, right? Like bottom line value. But there's other ways to enhance value. And in this respect, they're formulating robust arguments to support their filings. That, excuse me, that delivers think time back to the business unit. so that they can start to really understand what do these arguments mean for us and how do we deliver that. Under legislative bill evaluation and modifications, they're evaluating legislative bills. You know, those can be pages and pages long because lawyers are writing them. This capability, so AI capability, supports them in drafting amendments and responding effectively to proposed legislation. The value piece, it ensures that the interests of EPE and those of our stakeholders are well represented. Drafting presentations and for external stakeholders. So it helps them to craft detailed presentations for diverse external stakeholders. What's the value there? They can tailor the content appropriately, ensuring clarity and engagement. And argument mapping. By mapping out potential arguments and counter-arguments, they can foster more effective communications and negotiations. Analysis of national legislation, tariffs, and regulatory filings. They have an ability to provide timely updates and analysis of national legislation, tariffs, and regulatory filings. Who here within their company has compliance requirements? A couple of people raise their hands. So that's their value statement here. It helps them to maintain compliance and strategic operational planning. And so in summary, he said, by accelerating our legislative analysis, Gen AI has substantially reduced the time required to review and respond to legislative developments. The value, they can devote more resources to crafting detailed and strategic responses, ensuring that their interests are well protected and positioned for success. Pretty powerful stuff, really, when you think about it. I have a colleague that works with me too. We do a lot with programming, etc. And even for those people that use Excel frequently, you can utilize Gen AI to debug any kind of syntax errors and stuff like that, even within Excel. We're a Microsoft shop. We use Power BI a lot. Power BI has its own language that it codes in, and we can put those things also into generative AI, ChatGPT or Copilot, etc. And we can have it debug the syntax on a lot of our programming. That can save days, maybe weeks sometimes, of research and trying to figure it out ourselves. So I want to give you guys maybe a little bit of fun with AI. I've been using AI for, I don't know, let's say, a year and a half or so now, whenever it burst onto the scene. And I follow several people on social media that are experts and kind of keep me abreast of what's going on in AI. And so one of them suggested that I write this prompt and see what happens. So the first one is asking ChatGPT, similar to what Orion did to ask for relational advice. Now I'm asking for advice on how I work. So based on all of our conversations together, what's the most low-hanging fruit change I can make in my life that would yield me the most benefit? Be blunt and be specific. So it tells me I need to create a daily routine for focused, uninterrupted work sessions on my high-priority projects. I need to set aside dedicated blocks, say 1 or 2 90-minute sessions every day, where I can eliminate distractions and just tackle one project at a time. What's the value? It says I can make steady progress that will allow me to communicate updates more confidently, and which can improve my reputation and ease of collaboration at work. So there's my value statement. Number 2, what do you know about me? I thought when I started on this one, I thought to myself, well, this should be interesting and maybe a lot scary. So what did it know about me? It knew I was involved in various tech and data-driven initiatives. It knew I was engaged in work at an electric utility, likely focused on projects related to data, technology, and innovation. And it says, you seem to value collaboration and stakeholder engagement. I do. And lastly, it knew that I attended a conference in Chicago. And that's probably because I asked it when I knew I was going to my conference in Chicago, and I gave it the dates, and I said, hey, suggests what I need to pack to go there. And I told it I was going to a professional conference and make sure that the clothing was professional, and it gave me a list of things that I should pack given the weather for that week that I was there, which I thought was really cool and pretty interesting, and actually right on, because I didn't need a hat or anything like that. It didn't suggest one. And then, what do you know about me that I might not realize about myself? It said I was open to new challenges. I hadn't really thought about myself like that, right? It's like when a friend describes you to somebody else, and you're in the room, and you're like, wow, I had no idea they thought that way about me. It was kind of like one of those moments when I asked ChatGPT about that. It says I have the ability to manage multiple complex projects, which shows strong multitasking organizational skills. So multitasking, I think, is a fallacy, and therefore I'm going to call that a hallucination. Oh, and the last one, so I did this with my team. I asked it, we have a paid version of Copilot, and that can go into your teams, that can go into your calendars, your emails, etc. And so I asked the Copilot to go in there and tell me, where am I spending my time? And I did this because I thought, well, I want to know if we're spending our time in the right places. Perhaps we need to be spending more time like at the keyboard, and maybe we're focusing too much on this engagement piece. So what I found out was that was true. We probably needed to spend a little bit more time at the keyboard. I thought that was a really interesting way to use ChatGPT and Copilot, was to redesign how we work. It was a really great prompt. So what about like the bigger things? What about the bigger view of AI, not just generative AI? How are utilities leveraging AI? So a lot of them are doing some customer service training. We recently, and this is more on the chatbot side, but it's a similar concept. We recently launched a bot that will help train our customer service reps. So, you know, that unfortunately is an area where they have a lot of high turnover. And so training is consistent there and ongoing all the time. So what if we produced an agent where the customer service rep could simply type in their questions when they were on the phone with a customer? It brought our customer sat scores up, it shortened our calls, it did a lot of great things for us. Drone imagery analysis, Dr. Cao talked about Facebook recognition, right? So that's kind of similar to what we're talking about here. It's a classification model. So we can take drones and we can fly them over some of our assets like utility poles, etc. And then we can identify where some of the maybe breakage in poles that need to be repaired, or maybe there's a transformer or something like that that looks like it may be leaking, and then we need to get to that too. So we can start to identify these things before it becomes emergent, before it becomes like, you got to get out there today because the lights are out. That also allows us, when we see these kinds of things and we know that this is the maintenance that needs to be done, it also allows us to engage our supply chain people. So ever since COVID, we have, and I'm sure maybe a lot of you have too, have struggled with some supply chain issues. And getting the request in for what you need early is the key to that. And so being able to look at your assets and say, hey, I think this thing is gonna need some maintenance in the next 3 to 4 months is really helpful. Vegetation management. A huge concern for a lot of other utilities, still a concern for El Paso Electric too, is we do have some transmission lines that go through a forested area. So we need to know when the trees are going to impinge upon our lines, because that can cause an outage. Remember, our goal here is to achieve customer satisfaction. Customers are not satisfied when their lights are out. I don't know why, but they're not. And so vegetation management is super important. Same kind of thing, we can fly drones along our lines and stuff and look at where we may have small clearances or low clearances, and then we can go out there and address those issues. Asset failure prediction. This one's kind of cool. So we are implementing what's called advanced pattern recognition. And that really is, there are sensors out on our machinery that comes into a central location. And before, those sensors used to tell us, we had a high and a low. So those sensors used to tell us, hey, you've reached the high limit or you've reached the low limit on that. It was too late to react. Then you're just out there trying to figure out what went wrong. Advanced pattern recognition looks at all the chatter that happens between the low and the high, and it tells you when a component is likely to fail. And that's also another really great thing for us, because we can do maintenance in a scheduled manner, and we can get our parts in on time. Yep. Okay, I got to wrap this up apparently. Siting of new energy installations, and then enhancing some experience for our customers, always at the forefront of what we want to do. I may, in the interest of time, I may just skip this. I'm sorry. This was the image creation that I had talked about earlier, but I think we've seen a lot of that from Orion, so I think I'll skip this in the interest of time. And then ROI. So it's all great and everything that we're going to implement AI in all of its forms, but where's the ROI on that? How do we prove value? So this is a dashboard that we developed internally to our group, which is the Enterprise Advanced Analytics group. And this is how we demonstrate value. AI is an investment of time, resources, and dollars. Having metrics in place to measure progress against our stated goals for our use of AI will align the company on the merits of AI and help you understand the ROI of an AI investment. That is a lot of acronyms in that one sentence. And lastly, I want to leave you with this. So we're not the only ones that are interested in AI. So are our regulators, so are our city and county officials, our customers, and our lawmakers, and all for very different reasons. AI, like a regular Google search, takes so many watts, the 0.3 watt hours to produce. But a large language model search takes 10 times that. And so we have a lot of data centers that are coming into our service territory that want to have service. Our lawmakers want to know, can you service that load? And can you make sure that when you do that, you're not putting that on the backs of our existing customers? There's a lot to figure out there. There's a lot to unpack. Some of those data centers are demanding clean energy. They only want clean energy. We don't know when the load will be, if it'll be steady, if it'll be erratic. And how does this new economic opportunity affect our renewable goals? All things to consider. And lastly, I'll leave you with this. As I was talking to you earlier about some of the people that I follow on social media, these are some really great ones if you want to screenshot that and look at them on social media. Nate, the first one in particular, he does a lot of funny stories and about AI and how it's moving forward and how it's helping society. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. These folks did an amazing job of staying on schedule. Somebody got them started late. I apologize for that. But again, how about another round of applause? Great presentations. I want to know if AI can help me clone myself, because I want to be at both of the next sessions. Don't think it can. If you'd like information on getting started with better business writing, you're going to need to make your way to the Connie Gotch Theater, and there'll be folks out in the foyer there to direct you there. If you want to learn about personal and workplace productivity, stay right here. Let's take a 10-minute break if we can.
All right. I think the lights went down, so it's cue for me to get started. First of all, my name is Tom Yaskowitz. I'll tell you a little bit about my background in just a little bit. But the session that I've prepared for you is what I do when trying to introduce people to generative AI, which is a general AI for productivity session. And I like to look at it from both lenses of personal productivity, how can AI make me better in my personal life, as well as in my professional life. So we're going to straddle both worlds. In terms of what I have for you, now we're running late, so part 4 probably will not happen, but definitely we'll get through parts 1 through 3. I want to kind of get us into content by providing some background information in terms of models and ChatGPT and kind of how we set it up to become productive. Then we're going to get into prompting, and it's something that I think is made way too complex. We'll talk about this idea of good enough prompting, treating an AI like a human, and then thinking about how it's not human-like, what does that mean in how we interact with it. And then we'll talk about the roles AI can play in our personal, professional lives. And if we have time, I have a quick intro into some more advanced ChatGPT features that some of you might not have used. All right, so just for background, here's who I am. So as I mentioned, I'm at Fort Lewis College. In blue are all the things I do right now. So I've been at Fort Lewis as a marketing professor for about 8 years now. More recently, I became a Katz Endowed Professor, where I got some funding and support from the Katz family to do a variety of AI initiatives. For those of you in Durango might know about the workshop series we put on every 2 weeks. There's free AI workshops at our Center for Innovation. I work with students in the context of AI as well. More recently, I became the strategist for Fort Lewis College in general in the context of AI. And we started an AI Institute at Fort Lewis College that I'm a director of. So I have these 4 roles. Sometimes when I put this up here, I'm like, what am I doing? You shouldn't have 4 roles, but technically I do. In black are kind of my previous things. I'm not going to go through that for the sake of time. By the way, my slide deck is available to you. So on the Huva app, you'll get a link basically to what I'm showing you here today. But I went to grad school, University of Colorado, worked at tech startups, bounced around quite a bit, taught in Portugal, etc. All right, so before we get into content, this is something I started doing when presenting maybe like 6 months ago, where I just decided at the beginning of a session, it's always helpful to ground ourselves where we are in the context of AI before we dive into specifics. So we're gonna kind of take the macro view initially, talk about some features. I'm gonna be using a series of videos here to kind of walk us through some of the things that are happening from a user perspective of AI, capabilities that are available to us today. And then we're gonna dive into the specifics of the content. I think it's always helpful to kind of take a wide view. So before the holidays, OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, had an event called 12 Days of OpenAI. In 12 days, these are all the things they released. For example, you can call 1-800-ChatGPT and talk to ChatGPT. If you don't have the app or you're not in front of a computer, you can do that. Search projects, if we have time, we're gonna look at that in my kind of ChatGPT demo. Advanced voice mode, where we can interact with the model through voice. We can interact with the model through video. I can point my phone at a sign, it can interpret it for me. If I'm getting ready for a presentation, it can give me feedback on my appearance simply through my phone's camera. That's available to you today. ChatGPT Pro, there's now a $200 per month version of ChatGPT that gives you PhD level reasoning capabilities and a bunch of other features. The one I want to focus on now is called Sora. So one of the big movements in the context of AI is allowing us to create things that go beyond text and images. Sora is OpenAI's text-to-video platform where we have a prompt in text, it converts it to video. Now I was going to show you all the videos that were created around the world. If you click on this link, you get kind of a live feed of all the videos that are created from text on Sora's website. But I do have a quick video for you that kind of shows you the creative capabilities here. I get most excited in the context of AI, just thinking about things that are possible for me to do or kids to do that weren't possible in the past. I'm not a videographer, but I have, I think, good ideas that I want to represent in video. So with Sora, I can do that. So some creative people have started putting together entire videos in Sora. This is one where somebody's reimagining animals. Through prompts, they're combining animals. So I'll play it for you.
Welcome to Beyond Our Reality, a journey through parallel worlds where we delve into the extraordinary. Episode 1 unveils the giraffe flamingo, a stunning hybrid that roams the savannah with grace and vibrant hues. In Episode 2, we ascend with the flying pigs, charming creatures that redefine the skies with their harmonious flight. Episode 3 plunges us into the depths to discover the whale puss, an elegant blend of whale and octopus ruling the ocean's abyss. Episode 4 introduces us to the eel cat, an aquatic enigma that combines the sleekness of an eel with the curiosity.
So anybody can create content like this. You can combine animals and have video representations. This is available to you in the paid version of ChatGPT today. So if you get on there, you can go to Sora, put in text prompts saying, I want an eel cat, you get an eel cat. So that's one of the things that we're seeing in the AI landscape. The other one is we're seeing what the AI companies are referring to as reasoning models, where these models think, they mimic the human thinking process before they respond, sometimes for a minute, sometimes for 15 minutes, if it's a very complicated task that you're giving them. This is also available to you in the paid version of ChatGPT. We'll come back to the reasoning models and kind of the advances that they have in terms of representation of intelligence. But I think this is, again, best shown through an example. So we have Tyler Cohen, you'll learn about. He's a professor of economics and how he uses O1, which is ChatGPT's reasoning model. And you'll see how it works. It thinks behind the scenes before answering.
Thinking. It's taking a little longer than usual. Maybe it was a tough question. Oh, here it comes now. I'm Tyler Cowen. I'm a professor of economics at George Mason University. I write a blog, I run a podcast, I have a YouTube channel, and I'm a very avid user of generative AI. 10 years ago, I wrote a book called Average is Over, which forecasts a future where AI is going to revolutionize the world and basically change every facet of human life. I think of all the versions of GPT as embodying reasoning of some kind, but the new version has much more context when it approaches a problem. I want to see how good an economist is it. So I thought of questions that you might find on, say, PhD level exams. Quote, under what conditions do tariffs improve the terms of trade for a domestic nation and thus boost domestic welfare? Then, given that scenario, can you think of second best arguments why the potential tariff hike might not be such a good idea after all? These second best arguments should include public choice considerations, but should not be restricted to them either. End quote. It's kind of complex, right? You're not like, oh, I know that one. Finally, there's a conclusion where it summarizes this all in just plain text. It's pretty good. We're just figuring out what it's good for, or at least I'm just figuring it out. Obviously, it's a new capability, but the mere fact that you can ask it, as far as I can tell, any economics question, and it has a good answer, is really quite significant.
So we're getting these new versions of models that mimic the human thinking or reasoning process. It kind of went through that pretty quick in the video, but when you prompt it, it will actually outline kind of the steps it's going through. It kind of give you a view into the box of how it's reasoning through a problem and go down multiple paths like a human would before coming up to a solution. And we'll talk about this as big advances in capabilities of models and less likelihood of hallucinations. Another thing that we're seeing is how we interact with the AIs. ChatGPT has a text-to-video capability, as I mentioned, that they released, but Google is making a lot of advances in this regard as well. It's called Project Astra, where you can interact with the world around you through your phone, and as you'll see, through glasses that Google is developing. So I'm going to skip around a little bit in this video. It's a little lengthy and we don't have as much time, but I think you'll get a good sense of how this is working.
All right, we've got a Pixel phone loaded with the latest test build of Project Astra, and we're going to leave the office to test it around London. I've got this email with apartment info. Can you tell me the door code and remember it?
I'll remember the door code for you. It is 1170. To unlock it, enter the code and then press the unlock button.
Based on these symbols, how should I wash this?
The tag shows to machine wash at 30 degrees Celsius. Avoid bleach and tumble drying. Iron on low and dry cleanable.
Then what setting should I use on this machine?
Based on the laundry instructions of 30 degrees Celsius, select the 30 setting under Easy Care on the dial.
I've got this list of recommendations. Can you tell me a bit about some of them? For my friend, and this is everything she's been reading. How would you describe her taste in books?
Based on these titles, your friend seems to enjoy a mix of history, biography, and perhaps a touch of political or social commentary.
I picked some of these out. Any idea which one she'd like the most?
Consider Half of a Yellow Sun for its exploration of complex social and political issues within a historical setting, aligning with her interest in narratives that offer insight into significant periods.
Will that bus take me anywhere near Chinatown?
Yes, it does. The 24 bus route goes through Leicester Square, which is very close to Chinatown.
Are there any landmarks on the way?
Riding the number 24 bus, notable landmarks you will likely encounter are Westminster Abbey, Big Ben, and Trafalgar Square.
I also met up with some friends to test out the multilingual capabilities.
Est-ce que tu peux me dire quelque chose d'intéressant à propos de ces lanternes?
Bien sûr, je peux vous parler des lanternes. Les lanternes que vous voyez font partie de la porte d'entrée de Chinatown à Londres. Elles ont une signification culturelle pour les Chinois et sont souvent utilisées pendant les célébrations et les festivals. நிச்சயமாக இது லண்டனில் உள்ள சைனாடவுன் நுழைவாயில். இது ஒரு குறிப்பிடத்தக்க அடையாளமாகும். இது அந்த பகுதியின் கலாச்சார முக்கியத்துவத்தை குறிக்கிறது.
Now I'm using these prototype glasses to test Project Astra hands-free. Can you check if it's going to rain anytime soon?
It looks like it is currently mostly sunny in London. Rain is expected tonight from around 10 p.m. until tomorrow morning at 6 a.m.
Hey, what's that park next to me?
The park looks to be Primrose Hill, known for its panoramic city view.
So you can tell how the interaction of the AI is changing, it's fitting into this person's world. They're pointing at things that they're experiencing in real time. The AI is interacting with them. It's sharing the screen. It's remembering things. At the end of this video, watch it on your own time. It remembers the door code when he comes back, so he doesn't have to look it up. The glasses are limited availability, but the other features through your phone are available today. For me, I use the video features all the time. I barely pull out ChatGPT on my phone in terms of prompting it. I'm simply just interfacing with the world as I'm faced with specific things. You can point it at your computer screen and say, give me feedback on maybe some code I'm writing or an email I'm writing. It's a pretty seamless integration of AI into your life. And you can see how it's useful. Somebody's biking, they might be able to give directions like they do eventually in this video. Landmarks get identified. Somebody's not pulling out their phone, it's interfacing with the world that's in front of them. So that's another thing that we're seeing. This is a big one that's coming down the line. All the AI companies are saying this is where AI is moving in 2025 and definitely 2026. It's this idea of agents, where instead of us just prompting the AI and getting a response, the AI just runs on our computer and does tasks for us. I have an early access to an open AI agent where I tell it, hey, book me an Airbnb for spring break in New Orleans, like I just did. It will go out to Airbnb, search based on my preferences, what it knows about me, literally use the website, get to the booking, and it will ask me to confirm it before it actually spends money. But the entire task is performed by it. I've used it to buy concert tickets, I've used it to make restaurant reservations. I don't use my web browser. I just go to ChatGPT, it goes on the web, does things for me. So I'm going to play you an example from a competitor of OpenAI. The company is called Anthropic, and they have a large language model that we'll talk about called Claude. They have an agent called computer use. You'll see in this video, this individual in the demo is going to book a kind of a trip with a friend. I want to emphasize the AI is doing the things on the computer, not the person.
I'm Pooja, and I'm a researcher at Anthropic. I'm going to show you a simple example of computer use today. My friend's coming to San Francisco next week, and I want to take him to do some touristy stuff. I think doing a sunrise hike with a view of the Golden Gate Bridge never gets old. So I'll ask Claude to figure out some logistics for us. I'll ask Claude to find a good place to see the sunrise, to help me figure out timing logistics, and help drop a calendar invite so I remember when I have to leave. It's opening Chrome, going to Google, searching, and it looks like it's found something. Great. So how far away is the location from my place? It's opening maps, searching for the distance between my area and the hiking location. Cool. So now it looks like Claude is searching for the sunrise time tomorrow. And is now dropping it into my calendar. And populating it with some details. And great, it looks like Claude did it. This is a simple example, but we're sharing computer use early to learn from what people build.
Again, available to you today. Claude, the large language model, did all those tasks, opened up the apps, did the searches, populated the calendar. It goes beyond just interfacing with the model. The model is kind of the tool you use to complete tasks that might integrate a variety of apps across your computer. Obviously, there's privacy concerns, et cetera, but as far as capabilities go, you can see how something like this would save you potentially 10, 15 minutes. I personally don't feel like creating calendar invites and searching maps if I don't have to. If I have this assistant that's able to do it for me, I'll gladly take that. So this is something that you're going to be hearing more and more of, this idea of AI agents. All the companies, Google, Microsoft, OpenAI, Anthropic, are all telling us this is where this is all going. One last thing. This was released a couple days ago, a company called 1X. They're from Norway. They're not the only company investing in humanoid robots, but I think they have a very simple demonstration of where this is going. There's a quote that has been kind of shared in a variety of outlets where individuals say, well, don't have AI create art. I want to create the art, but open up the time for me by doing chores so I can create more art. So this is where 1X is going. They're building humanoid robots for the home. These robots, they have a product timeline where by 2026, 2027, they anticipate these being available.
Yeah, it's super funny.
Right there.
How's this?
Perfect.
Seems like sci-fi, but it is something that exists today. Obviously not publicly available. Not the only company. OpenAI is actually the company behind ChatGPT, has partnerships with a variety of robotics companies. Some of these robots are already being used to build cars, and kind of early prototypes are being available. They're not going to be free. Based on the home that we're seeing there, probably pretty expensive, at least initially. All right, so that's what I want to mention in the landscape. I think it's helpful to always ground ourselves in terms of the advancements that are either here or coming soon. I do free AI workshops, as I mentioned, every 2 weeks, and I always have many things to put in my AI landscape piece, because many things are happening within 2 weeks in the context of AI. All right, so I'm going to get rolling with our regularly planned programming, which is AI for productivity. I'm going to move really quick because obviously we have less time. Slides are available to you. I was going to do questions at the end, but we will not have time for that. All right, so background and prep. The first thing in using generative AI solutions is to select your large language model. What is a large language model? This is the most technical slide in my slide deck. It's a sophisticated type of neural network, and I want to emphasize all the things that exist in neural networks that large language models use that are mimicking our human brains. We have neurons, there's artificial neurons. There's connections between neurons in our human brains. There's connections in these artificial brains, these neural networks, through layers and weights. Those connections can be strengthened, just like connections within our brains. We're actually learning things about biological brains through large language models, because they represent the biological version so well. Within large language models, we have parameters. Parameters is what helps you understand the fine-grained details of language, cultural references, context. The more parameters, the more fine-grained they understand our language. Trained on massive amounts of text, a lot of controversy around that, as far as the text that was used to train these models, but the open internet, books, our social media content, so on and so forth, all of that has been fed in to give the models enough text to do their learning from. And the most important point is the last one. They have emerging abilities. They do things that they weren't explicitly trained to do. Nobody taught the large language model how to program, but they program exceptionally well. Nobody taught the large language models how to translate from language to language, but they do that well. By the way, in safety testing, the most latest large language models have been shown to lie like humans lie. They've learned that from us through our language. Deceive, they get caught in a lie and they try to cover their tracks. Literally happens today. They've learned these things. This is why safety testing is so important. You don't want to release those capabilities into the wild. We actually don't fully understand all their capabilities that they have. We're learning them over time. So there are these emerging abilities. That's the magic of large language models. They do things that we didn't expect them to be able to do. They seem to be able to have abilities from text, like programming, like translation. So the first step is to select your large language model. Many options. We're going to focus on ChatGPT, the dominant platform, but I also pay for Claude by Anthropic, great at writing and coding. We have Gemini by Google. It sounds like many of you use that. Llama by Meta, which is an open source model. You can install it on your laptop and run it. Grok by XAI, Elon Musk's company, which just released a new model that's really capable, and DeepSeek, the model that you heard about in the keynote. So the first step is to select your model, a large language model, but within the large language models, there's a variety of models, like versions of the large language model that you can work with. So we're going to focus on ChatGPT. In the free version, you're on 3.5. In the paid version, you're on 4.0. We'll talk about why that's significant on the next two slides. There's this 01, the reasoning model. I'm going to come back to that. That's the Tyler Cohen economics professor video. That's what he was using. There's even a newer reasoning model that's winning coding Olympiads called 03, which is their more advanced reasoning model. So why do the models, why do they matter? So 3.5, again, if you're on the free version of ChatGPT, this is generally the capability you get. So what OpenAI does is it has their models take a variety of human exams: bar exam, LSAT, SAT, GRE, advanced sommelier, wine exam. Those are percentiles compared to humans. So like bar exam, it's in the 10th percentile. Not that great. Paid version. Across the board, scoring in the 77th percentile on wine, bar exam, 90th percentile, and so on and so forth. So you're working with two different AIs, free versus paid. The reason why they're paid, the computing infrastructure is really, really expensive. OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, supposedly lost $6 billion last year because of computing infrastructure that supports these models. So that's the paid versus kind of the primary model you work with, or free versus the primary model you work with in the paid plan. Now, there's also these new reasoning models, and they put them through very advanced exams. So one of the exams that they use is called the Graduate Level Google Proof Q&A Test. Mouthful. What is it? It's an exam that evaluates conceptual understanding and critical thinking as opposed to just retention of facts. These are things, if you Google it, you will not find the answer in general. So I have an example question. So instead of asking somebody who discovered DNA, the GPQA might ask, if the discovery of DNA structure has been delayed by 50 years, how would modern genetics and medicine be different today? Critical thinking, conceptual understandings required to answer that type of question. So on this kind of complicated chart, the two blue lines that are running horizontally are human PhDs using Google, and the bottom one is outside their specialty, and up top it's within their specialty. So like a biology PhD answering questions about biology. So humans within their discipline are a little bit above 80% accuracy. The newest reasoning model that OpenAI has, O3, is going up to 90%. It's outperforming human PhDs in their field when they have access to Google. So that's the level of capability that exists in the models today that you have access to when you're on the paid versions of ChatGPT. The leaps are amazing. I mean, if you look at this curve, 3.5, which is the free version of ChatGPT, was at like 35%. In 2 years, they now outperform human PhDs. So the model's getting more and more capable, and for especially work applications, you probably want to be working with more capable, smarter, if you want to use that word, model. All right, so that's the models, the large language models. Beyond the large language models, there's an entire landscape of AI tools I'm not going to cover. There's hundreds of them. In this presentation, I'm using Midjourney for image generation. My slides are in beautiful AI. I could list many, many other tools outside of that. Most of these tools actually use a large language model behind the scenes, and it just provides you with an interface like Jasper. It's a marketing AI tool. It's simply an interface with ChatGPT, but it has some templates and kind of streamlines some marketing-related tasks. All right, so that's step one. Step two, once you select your large language model, you gotta consider, especially for workplace applications, but probably there's sensitive things to worry about in the context of our personal lives as well. How are we gonna deal with sensitive data? The key takeaway is if you're on ChatGPT, you should be on the paid plan because it gives you data protections that are not available in the free plan. The free plan will use your prompts for training purposes. Other large language models like Claude have more advanced protections where even on the free plan, they will not train their models on your data. You can also use tactics that kind of hide your identity. So instead of saying, like if I'm prompting it, I'm a professor at Fort Lewis College, I could say I'm a professor at a liberal arts college in the Mountain West, so my identity couldn't be identified. But generally, I mean, I exclusively use the paid plan within Fort Lewis College. We're on what's called the Teams plan, where by default your chats, your data that you're putting in there is segmented from the model's training. And ideally you have an organizational policy that addresses all of that so you don't have to worry about this as an individual. Once we get through step 2, assuming we're working within ChatGPT, this is something that most people haven't done, as I found out because I've asked this question in the past, and it's the ultimate ChatGPT hack, if you want to call it a hack. To me, it's an essential setup of using ChatGPT. You can personalize your GPT. This is within the paid plan again. In the top right corner, there's a little icon, and then you click on Customize ChatGPT, which will give you these 2 text boxes. What should ChatGPT know about you? And how would you like ChatGPT to respond? So within my customization, I'm mentioning that in the first box, I'm a professor at Fort Lewis College, that I do AI strategy. I describe Fort Lewis College, especially like the things I want the model to really emphasize. You might talk about challenges you have in your jobs or goals that you have. And that information is saved, and then for every prompt, ChatGPT is already putting in that context. So you don't have to give it that context every time. And then similarly, how would you like ChatGPT to respond? Maybe discuss your learning style or what kind of output you like. Do you like lists? Do you like examples? Then any prompt you put in there, ChatGPT is going to try to incorporate your way of wanting the output. So for me, I like lists, I like examples. It does that by default. I don't have to tell it to do that in my prompt. So that's one layer of personalization. The other one is called memories. Memories are just little facts that ChatGPT should remember about you. That's not potentially even things that are like permanent, but these are things that are happening in your life. So if you got a puppy, tell it you got a puppy. It will put it in its memory. You can either manually put it in the memory or in your prompt say, remember this about me. And then if you ask for dog food recommendations, by default, it's going to give you puppy-based dog food, or dog food focused on puppies. I have an example prompt here where I say, can you recommend me a podcast that I might like? And you can see in its response, based on your preferences for, thank you, intellectually stimulating and science-oriented podcasts, here are some recommendations that align with the thoughtful, informative style of Lex Fridman podcasts and Huberman Lab podcasts. So in memory, it knows I like Lex Fridman podcasts and Huberman Lab podcasts, and I don't have to give it that context. It just knows that about me. It's a very different experience. It feels like ChatGPT is, it is, personalizing the experience to you. And for me, instead of me typing out my history of podcast listening, I have it remember it once, and then if I need a recommendation, I get a recommendation real quick. I've taken screenshots of all my Spotify playlists, gave it to ChatGPT, and if I'm like stuck, not sure what I want to listen to, I say, hey, can you recommend me a song? Recommend me a song, because it already knows all that about me. Now, obviously, everybody has different levels of comfort as far as how much you want ChatGPT to know about you. For me, it's such a big tool that I'm using every day, hours a day. I want shortcuts. I want it to know as much about me as possible. So that's step 3. So that gets us going. We have a large language model. We've kind of dealt with sensitive data. Ideally, you're on a paid plan, which kind of protects you that in a way that free plans don't. And we've personalized ChatGPT. Now let's get into prompting. Now, a lot of times you hear fancy descriptions of prompting, and people call it prompt engineering. What is prompt engineering? The art and science of getting an AI to do the things that you want it to do and behave as you would like. And I want to emphasize the art and the science. So let's talk about the art here. So here are some, based on Reddit and a variety of other outlets, quirks that AIs have. They are weird technologies. So people have shown that AIs respond better if you tell it you're going to give it a tip. Give me a great blog post, I'll give you a $10 tip. You get a better blog post. They perform worse during winter break. Why? Because they know humans kind of are less productive during winter break. We take vacation. So they put in less effort as well. They give better responses when told your job depends on this. They get more accurate when you say, read the question again. They respond better to polite prompts, but not overly polite. So using please is actually like a way of improving your output. Now, some of these things are a little less prevalent in the newest models, but it kind of shows you how quirky and weird these things are. So when I think about prompt engineering, I generally, when I search for it, you get like guides like this, where when you prompt a model, you need an objective, you need sequential steps, you need to say what your preferred output format is. Nothing wrong with these guides, but I actually think it keeps people from really getting into AIs and using them. So the way I like to think about it is the way Ethan Mollick, he's a professor at the University of Pennsylvania, formerly AI White House advisor, wrote my favorite book on AI called Co-Intelligence, the way he thinks about it. He says, treat AI like an infinitely patient new coworker who forgets everything you tell him each new conversation, one that becomes highly recommended, but whose actual abilities are not clear. So what does that mean? There's some human elements here and there's some non-human elements. So just like if we're working with a new human coworker that we're not sure of their capabilities, here's how we would interface with them. And this is how you should interface with AI. Be really specific, especially at first. When you get a new coworker, you're going to be very specific. Work with it. Don't just yell out orders. Have dialogue with it. Just like you would with a human. You don't get a new coworker and just say, write me a blog post, period. You would give it context. You would work with it. You would have dialogue. What kind of blog post? What's the goal? And so on and so forth. You generally want to start with your areas of expertise because then you can check the results. And through that, you're going to start learning what it's good at and bad at. It's good at things you'd be surprised it's good at, and it's bad at things you'd be surprised it's bad at. But you won't know until you use it. It's different in every field. There is no instruction manual. Now, this AI also has some less human qualities. Number one, it's very forgetful. Every time we start a new chat, unless you put in your personalization features, you're starting from scratch. You've got to give it all the context it needs. Does it need a document? Do you need to give it a role? Do you need to give it some background information? Again, every new chat, you're starting from scratch. Also, every chat has a limited short-term memory. It's called context windows. Every model has different context windows. But you want to start new chats when you're moving from task to task because you might overwhelm the context window. And some of the context, if you're having it do two different tasks, it might get confused. It's applying things from one thing into a new scenario that you're having the AI play. Also, this thing is infinitely patient. You can do whatever you want and it will not get annoyed. At least I haven't found it to get annoyed. Maybe in the background it is. So you can keep asking for changes, improvements, perspectives. You can ask for hundreds of versions of things, thousands of versions of things. I want 50 social media blog posts about this topic. Give me 50. A human might say, really? The AI is going to be like, there you go. Infinitely patient. And as part of this, we can just keep pushing. We can say, ask for weirder, more creative options, expand ideas, keep going down this path. My conversations are, I'm pushing the model. Go deeper, you can do better. I want more original things. Just like I would with a human. I'm having this dialogue, but a human might get annoyed at some point, the model does not. It gives me those more creative options eventually once I push it far enough. So that's the way I think about prompting. I think about the human qualities and then the less than human qualities. I have dialogue, I ask for lots of options. I don't really think about, am I giving an objective? Am I asking for a specific output format? That kind of comes naturally, because I'm just having dialogue with the model. So that's the way I emphasize everybody should be using AIs, at least initially. But the most important thing is just to use them. So this is our friend Ethan Mollick again, and here's his quote. The single most useful thing you can do to understand AI is to use AI. There's lots of reasons people may decide to give up on using an AI quickly, from early hallucinations, the AI is not good enough, to existential discomfort, the AI is too good. But many of those initial reactions are tempered over time. Your goal is simple, spend 10 hours using AI on tasks that matter to you. Generally, after those 10 hours, people that are surveyed like AI more, they're less concerned about it, they understand it better. There is no substitute for direct usage. This is unlike any other technology. There is no instruction manual. You'll develop your own instruction manual by using it a lot. So for me, just prompting is just usage. I have certain days where I go into ChatGPT 70, 80 times. And I learn it better every time. Every interaction helps me clarify my understanding. All right, we're moving right along. Maybe we'll get to part 4. So one of the other things involved in prompting is pushing AI into different roles. More specifically, I like to think about my AI interactions as having one of 4 roles. AI can play the role of an assistant. It helps me with simple or repetitive tasks. AI can be a collaborator, as a thought partner. It's not going to make the decisions for me, but I might bounce around ideas with it. Creator might help me create initial drafts of images, of long-form text, short-form text, emails, and so forth. Or a tutor or a coach. So can help me learn new skills or understand things better that I want to understand things better. What I find is most people use AI as an assistant. But many of its superpowers, if you want to call it that, are when it becomes a collaborator, a coach, or a creator. So let's look at some example prompts. These are my personal examples. Before we get into it, let's talk about each of the roles a little bit more. So an AI assistant, some of the qualities, really dependable. It's always available to you. It's very eager to help, maybe too eager to help. You need to give it a lot of instruction because it's a basic assistant, and it can make mistakes. We'll talk about hallucinations in a bit. So here's an example assistant prompt for me. So I say, you're an assistant who's keenly able to take complex academic papers and summarize them with easy to digest insights. I would like you to analyze this paper, provide me with 10 bullet points on the key insights from the paper. Then provide 2 actionable items on how I can apply the paper in my work as Fort Lewis College, as a professor at Fort Lewis College. So these are just some screenshots. Gives me, it was a paper on personalized learning, gave me 10 insights, and then it gave me 2 actionable applications. If it looks relevant, I might read the whole paper, but I have a nice synopsis. I know if it's relevant to my work. Perfect assistant. Save me some time. I do this all the time. It's kind of a repetitive task. It's a good first pass. So now let's talk about collaborator. Again, a lot of people don't use AI as a collaborator. I think this is one of the places where you can get a lot of value. For me, ultimate brainstorming and thought partner. It works really well because it can kind of combine fields and make connections. It knows almost every framework, every example, has almost boundless knowledge, as we're seeing, especially with those reasoning models. It's at the level of human PhDs, and it's very rational. It's kind of taking view of a topic from an unbiased manner. So here's an example of a collaborator prompt. I'm actually using Claude here, not ChatGPT. So here's my prompt. I'm an AI strategist at Fort Lewis College. I'm about to have a conversation with a faculty member who's more skeptical of the use of AI in the college's academics. Can you play the role of this colleague? Help me prepare for this conversation. I respect the individual, and they're not looking to change their mind, but I want to have a productive exchange. Let's talk back and forth where you make a point and I try to respond. I did this, then went into conversation, had a great conversation because I already practiced it. I had the AI become my collaborator, my thought partner, It would ask me questions, I would try to respond, it would give me feedback. How would this skeptical colleague respond to it? I still had the real conversation, I didn't just talk to the AI, but it helped me prepare for that. Okay, creator. As we saw at the beginning, capable across formats, so it can help you create videos, images, text, can give you 2, 5, 100, 1,000 drafts of things, never gets writer's block, and can help you move seamlessly across languages. So here's an example of a creator prompt. I'm teaching a new AI class. This is when I was preparing for it. I'm designing a new course on applications of AI in business. Can you play the role of an expert course designer? Help me outline a series of modules with suggested readings, case studies, and discussion questions. Please emphasize hands-on experiential work. This is just a snippet, but it gave me a module by module, week by week breakdown. I obviously didn't copy and paste it and say, here's your class, students, but it was a good starting point. It created an initial draft, gave me some insights. Maybe this is how I want to organize it. I ended up using some things, not using other things, but give me suggested readings. Great first kind of creative output from the AI that got me going on a task. The last role, and I want to emphasize, it's a tutor or a coach. It's not the replacement for a teacher, especially given kind of the role I'm in. I'm not hoping to replace myself. So what is the tutor role? Helps you understand something new. I'm using it all the time to learn new things. Explains complex concepts in very simple terms. Really good at that. Take something really technical, give it at me at the level of, let's say, a high school student. Knows almost everything really well at this point, and ultra personalized. It can tutor you at your level with your own learning style. As a side note, my students do assignments through AIs that I create for them, and the first thing it does is it asks them, what do you want to do in your future? What are you interested in? And then the entire assignment is personalized to them. So I institute this in my teaching, where I have AIs kind of personalized, in a personalized way, tutor students through assignments. And they're actually like, they're not done with the assignment until the AI really captures that they've understood a concept. So like the concept of an assignment is very different because it's like an understanding exercise as opposed to let's get this done exercise. But I also use this for my own learning. So here it's kind of a technical prompt, but I think you'll get the general idea. All of these you have to kind of apply to your own context. So I'm looking to gain a better understanding of OpenAI's API. I know the fundamentals, but I want to gain true expertise. Can you design a series of lessons for me that help me understand the actual API, as well as how it can be used or applied? I learn best from concrete examples. Anything applied hands-on really helps solidify my understanding. Don't just give me an overview of the structure, come up with actual lessons, exercises, etc. Then ask me to engage with the content that you create. I created like basically a book for myself, but it was for me. I like to learn a certain way. I want it to be applied. I want to actually like get in there and try things out, and I want feedback from the AI. Amazing tutor. I learned this really quickly in a weekend, and I didn't need to really go anywhere else. I just interfaced with ChatGPT. So when you use AI, make sure you're spanning these roles. I think everybody can use AI for all 4 of those roles in your personal or professional lives. So I think in the back of your head, and a lot of times this is the first thing people think of when they think of AI, what about hallucinations? So I think there's 2 ways of thinking about hallucinations. Number 1, it's simple creativity and a feature, not a bug of the large language model. This is why the models can give us things that seem creative. When I say, give me 10 marketing slogans for this company that I'm creating, that's why it doesn't just give you the slogans of previous companies. It's coming up with something new. The randomness is, in essence, what's enabling the AI to dive into those tasks. So that's one way of thinking about it. It's actually a positive aspect. Another way is this way. It's making S up, and it sees things that are not real, by the way. Humans do the same. It's mimicking humans really well, where we overstate our confidence. We just forget things and say things that might not be true. So that's the other way of thinking about hallucinations. For me, hallucinations are a problem. I still worry about it, but it's much less of a problem today than in the past. This is where the paid models come in. So this is an independent source where they test various models in terms of how often they hallucinate. GPT-4 is the third one up there, the paid version of ChatGPT, as you can tell, 1.5% of the time. Is it a problem? Yes, but it's not like in the early versions of ChatGPT where it might hallucinate 30, 40, 50% of the time. Huge advances. The models do generally stay within the bounds of what they truly know. So how do you deal with hallucinations? It depends on which role you're using the AI for. If it's an assistant, I look for hallucinations in a very different way than if it's a collaborator or a creator. Like creator, it's actually a feature, not a bug. I actually want it to hallucinate because that's how I get some more creative outputs. So I'm not going to go through this one by one for the sake of time, but I will say it all depends on what you're using the AI for. If it's, let's say it's a collaborator and you're making a big decision within the company, I would have humans check it, provide feedback. Maybe use another large language model. That's actually another hack, if you want to call it, is you actually ask, let's say, Claude to check ChatGPT. And you can have the models kind of evaluate each other. So I would put a lot more effort if it was a big decision than if it's just an assistant, just helping me with a repetitive task. Maybe it's like helping me with an email. Hallucinations, I'm worried about a lot less. It all depends. And they do happen less frequently. I think the bigger problem, and this is the one I worry about more, is that AIs are created to make us happy. There's something called reinforcement learning, where humans test the AI to give it thumbs up, thumbs down. When the AI gets a thumbs up, that's a positive outcome for the AI. So these AIs that we're using are trying to make us happy. What does that mean? They tend to be overly positive when we ask for feedback. And a lot of times maybe not fully truthful in how whatever we're creating is meeting whatever sort of expectation that we want. Coming back to my students, one of the hardest things I have, I don't want my AIs to yell at students, but I want them to be truthful in terms of evaluating the quality of their work. It's really hard to get an AI to not say that the student's doing great, even though they might be like completely off track. So that's something to worry about, especially in the collaborator role, when you're saying, hey, what do you think of this new marketing tactic? And it's going to say, I think this is great. So the way you prompt it is you have it reevaluate. You maybe try multiple models. Ultimately, I would say go to a human and get their feedback before you actually institute that, that tactic that you're trying to institute. All right, we're breezing right along. I do have only 5 minutes, but I'm going to show you at least some of part 4. So for me, right now, there's 5 essential ChatGPT productivity features: search, canvas, projects, desktop app, advanced audio mode. Let me show you at least 1 or 2 of these because they're very helpful and they're very simple to use. So this is my ChatGPT. As a side note, I'm on the Teams plan, which is $30 a month. It's one of their paid plans, but not the most expensive plan. So one of the things that ChatGPT released fairly recently is the ability to search. So I can say, what is happening in Farmington this weekend? And it's going to do a live search. Search is the web. For me, this is the default web browser, default search engine that I'm using in my web browser. If you notice, I didn't even have to say what the dates are. It's pulling in events. This is where it's pulling in from. If you want to check where it's sourcing this information, here's its citation. So it's going to the government website. I'm not familiar with the other websites. Bands in Town it's using to pull in the events. So you can use it for live searches. The reason why I like it, no ads, quick and to the point. I don't have to scroll extensively. It uses AI to focus on the things that are most important to you. By the way, if you personalize your ChatGPT, then your searches are personalized as well. So that's one of the features that I really like. Another feature is called Canvas. It's a new way of interfacing with ChatGPT, super helpful for writing and coding tasks. So let's say I want a blog post, write a blog post about summer activities in Farmington. Now I have a regular prompt here, but I'm going to go in here and say I want a canvas. I'm going to put in this prompt, and it's outputting the blog post here. But if you notice, the interface just changed because now I'm in the canvas mode. And once it's done writing my blog post, hopefully not too many hallucinations here. Come on. So many things to do. Anybody spot a hallucination yet? That's where the human in the loop. I don't know Farmington well enough to spot all of these. I know it somewhat well. All right, so there's the blog post. Let me get back into Canvas mode. But now I can say I want to adjust the reading level. So it starts at high school. Let's get like really fancy. Let's write it for graduate school. So I didn't have to reprompt it. Same blog post. If we scroll up, it should start rewriting it. There we go. So you can tell kinetic pursuits, using fancier vocabulary, and so on and so forth. So we have a much higher level of language. So I'm going to stop it, just so I can show you a few other things real quick. If you want to adjust the length, make it shorter, make it longer, you can do that without reprompting it. If you want ChatGPT to suggest edits, but you can also now work with it in line. I can say, add a call to action in the headline. Now I don't have to rewrite the whole blog post. I'm simply getting ChatGPT to give me a new title. It's going to keep everything else the same. So the new way of interfacing, especially with long-form content, works really well. Didn't rewrite the title, but it generally does do that. So that's Canvas. Let me, in the 1 minute I have remaining, show you, actually, let's end it there because those two are going to take a few more minutes. All right, so just to wrap up, beyond today, I would definitely use projects. I also use the desktop app, which just runs on my desktop. I don't have to go to ChatGPT. It's sitting here. I have to show this one. I'm going to go over 1 minute, but I don't think anybody's going to yell at me. What movies are playing in Farmington this weekend?
This weekend in Farmington, you can watch Captain America Brave New World and Paddington in Peru at Allen Theater's Animus 10. Interested in any of those?
Which movies are best rated?
Paddington in Peru is currently the best rated with a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. Heart Eyes and Dogman are also well rated. Interested in any of these?
Any other movies that are more for adults?
Kingdom of Forests, Bad Boys for Life, and Annabelle Comes Home are playing in town. Interested in any of these?
So within the desktop app, I always use the advanced audio mode. I just have it running, especially for like things that just pop into my head. I just talk to it and have a conversation. So within the paid version, you can download the desktop app. It's real time, you can interrupt it. It's very human-like in a very scary way. So again, the paid plan, you have advanced audio mode. I just run it on my desktop. It only listens to you when you speak to it, but I find it super helpful. When I'm practicing presentations like this, right there, Listen to me, give me feedback. Great productivity tool. All right, so I'm 2 minutes over. One last thing I want to mention, at Fort Lewis College, we started an AI Institute. We have a newsletter. If you scan this QR code or just go to my presentation, all kind of local AI related events, learning opportunities. We actually have an incubator program where we're funding businesses, organizations in AI explorations. We have a series of businesses right now, mostly in Durango, that we're funding and helping them explore AI. So there's a lot of opportunity to engage with us. We're not that far away. And a lot of these things are accessible to you in Farmington, if that's where you're based. All right, I was gonna have a Q&A. I don't know what just happened there. I got dictionary. That's the slide that's supposed to come up. Thank you, appreciate your time. If you have questions, I'll be around, so happy to chat.